Chapter 628 Blood Flowing 8,000 Miles, 1. Chapter 628 Blood Flowing 8,000 Miles, 1. All the martial artists were staring anxiously at the Underworld website for updates from Rivertown. However, half an hour passed by quickly and there wasn't any news updated on the Underworld website. What's the matter? What's the situation now? Even if the Dragon King has arrived, all the matters should have been settled by now. Why isn't the thread being updated? Could it be that the original poster was killed? Some martial artists stared at the Underworld website and felt that something wasn't right. A bad premonition started weighing over their minds. As for the families and members of Donghua Sacred Sect, Devil Corpse Palace, Dark Sect and some other sacred clans and sacred sects, they hesitated for a moment before attempting to make calls. However, none of them got any responses. This undoubtedly made them feel that something bad had happened. However, they shook their heads violently soon. It's impossible. It cannot be. Sect leader Nie Wushuang and Emperor Qi were so strong. More importantly, there were 4 other immortal-like old men with them. They had witnessed how terrifying these 4 old men were. Each action of theirs could bring forth catastrophic destruction. Existences like these weren't something that the Dragon King could handle. Time passed by gradually. At this very moment, Shui family of Rivertown was one of the top ancient martial arts families in Rivertown. Due to their relations with the Dragon King, no one in the underworld would dare to offend the Shui family. Within the backyard of Shui family's villa, old Shui lay on the floor and was coughing out blood. Shui Jiahua and Shui Jing were also on the floor with pale faces. The 3 generations glowered furiously at the group of people before the door and their eyes were filled with despair. TSK. The Shui family sure is weak and small. The only thing you could blame would be following the wrong master and forces. Since you are on great terms with the Dragon King, you guys can meet him in hell. In the middle of the courtyard, a group of 20+ martial artists stared harshly at the Shui family. All of them had hideous and gruesome looks on them. Cough cough. Our Shui family is contented to have enjoyed the glory days. Old Shui smiled bitterly and had seemingly accepted his impending death. The Dragon King was killed and the Dragon Sect was annihilated. To show their loyalty to the Eternal Sacred Sect, this group of people before them wanted to annihilate his Shui family. He looked at his son and grandson beside him. Although he was bitter, he heaved a long sigh. Grandpa, there's nothing to fear about death. After all, we have enjoyed the glory days. It's been worthwhile. Shui Jing grinned at his grandpa before turning to stare coldly at the group of people before them. If the Dragon King can make it past this disaster, he will definitely take revenge for us. All of you will suffer gruesome deaths. Dragon King? He's dead by now. Before the 4 immortal-like experts, he has probably been reduced to dust by now. You can show your loyalty in hell. In the future, there'll no longer be any Dragon Sect or Dragon King in the underworld. An old man standing in the middle laughed hysterically at them. Today we will grant you a quick death. Go join your Dragon King in hell. Hysterical laughter resounded in the backyard of the Shui family. 3 middle-aged men smirked and walked towards the 3 generations of the Shui family with their long swords. There's nothing to fear about death. Old Shui gritted his teeth, shut his mouth and then shouted. In that case die. The 3 middle-aged men swung their swords towards them. Bam, bam, bam. The 3 generations of the Shui family closed their eyes in despair as they waited for death to descend upon them. However, all they heard were sounds of things falling to the ground. The pain which they had expected did not come. This shocked the 3 generations of the Shui family. The Dragon Sect would not let the friends of our Dragon King die. A faint voice reverberated and old Shui jerked opened his eyes. He saw over 30 people in the air. After a brief moment of feeling lost, excitement beamed in his eyes. Old Mo, you guys. Old Shui's body shivered in agitation as his eyes beamed with fervor. Our Dragon King shall shine forever like the sun and moon. Those who offend the Dragon King or the Dragon Sect shall all die. Mo Qinglong nodded his head at old Shui, following which he got back onto the golden long sword and flew away. Dragon King. The Dragon King isn't dead. The Dragon King isn't dead. Shui Jiahua and Shui Jiahua opened their eyes and saw the disappearing crowd of Dragonians. When they saw the 20-odd people who were still going on about killing them moments ago on the floor, exhilaration was written all over their eyes. If the Dragon King isn't dead then? Old Shui stood up gradually and his eyes beamed with fervor. Nie Wushuang from Donghua Sacred Sect, Emperor Qi of Diabolism, and the 4 old men were finished. They definitely have been killed by the Dragon King. Shui Jing continued the sentence for his grandfather. His face was flushed red from excitement as he cheered, "Ha! Great! This is perfect." Shui family, who had been in despair moments ago, were in ecstasy after surviving the ordeal. Let me check the information on the Underworld website. Shui Jing took out his phone immediately. There isn't any news on the Underworld website yet, and the live stream broadcast stopped after the Dragon King appeared. It seems like they were all killed. Let's just wait for news from here onwards. Old Shui's eyes flickered. From here onwards, they will be awaiting the anger of the Dragon King. The anger of the Dragon King. Old Shui knew Wang Xian well. He was a friend who valued relationships. If he was your enemy, he definitely wouldn't show mercy or compassion. On the Underworld website, it had been an hour since the last update on the return of the Dragon King appeared on the livestream thread. The more time that passed, the more flustered some people felt. It was especially so when no one could contact the experts who had gone to annihilate the Dragon Sect. Unconsciously, everyone had a bad premonition about the incident. Shocking. Donghua Sacred Sect has been annihilated. Not a single disciple remains. 1 hour and 5 minutes later, a thread appeared on the Underworld website and sent shockwaves throughout the Underworld. When everyone clicked into the thread, they were instantly dumbfounded. Blood and destruction represented the current Donghua Sacred Sect. Those pictures of corpses made everyone feel as if their scalps were going numb. Fear that originated from one's soul spread across their entire body. The pictures on the thread were all pictures of the corpses of Donghua Sacred Sect's disciples. Moreover, these corpses could be found throughout the entire Donghua Sacred Sect. The original poster was a friend of an attendant of Donghua Sacred Sect. 10 minutes before, he had headed to Donghua Sacred Sect and witnessed a horrifying scene. Donghua Sacred Sect was annihilated. Gosh, what happened? Who did it? Donghua Sacred Sect was annihilated. Everyone in the number 1 sacred sect of the Underworld has now been slaughtered. Gosh, who's the one responsible? What happened? Why would Donghua Sacred Sect be annihilated? Looking at the pictures on the thread, everyone shivered in fear. The largest sacred sect in the Underworld had been annihilated without a single person surviving. Could it be the acts of the Dragon King and the Dragon Sect? Some people's eyes widened. At the thought that no news was coming from River Town, a terrifying thought surfaced in their minds. Chapter 629 Blood Flowing 8,000 Miles 2. Chapter 629 Blood Flowing 8,000 Miles 2. Donghua Sacred Sect was annihilated with no one left in the ancestral sect. When the news got out, the entire Underworld was blown away. Soon, some of them guessed that Donghua Sacred Sect had been annihilated by Dragon King and Dragon Sect. That was because everyone lost touch with River Town after the Dragon King's return. They made a bold speculation that those who tried to annihilate Dragon Sect had all been killed by Dragon King. Boom. Gosh. Devil Corpse Palace is being annihilated. Just as everyone was still overwhelmed by the fact that Donghua Sacred Sect had been annihilated, another shocking piece of news came by. Devil Corpse Palace, the strongest ancestral sect of diabolism, was annihilated. SSS. When the news was out, everyone drew in a cold breath. Devil Corpse Palace was not any weaker than Donghua Sacred Sect. Yet it was exterminated too. On the same post were various photos with the corpses of the Devil Corpse Palace disciples. None of them were alive. The entire Devil Corpse Palace was quiet as hell. It must be the Dragon King. It must be him. He's the only one who could annihilate Donghua Sacred Sect and Devil Corpse Palace. The Dragon King is not dead. He's annihilating all those who besieged the Dragon Sect. I had a bad feeling ever since that live update stopped updating. The Dragon King is not dead, and it looks like Dragon Sect has begun taking their revenge. Within an hour, the strongest sacred sect of the orthodox sects in diabolism were annihilated. This is too fast and furious. Scary. The downfall of Devil Corpse Palace had made everyone believe that the Dragon King was not dead, and that Dragon Sect had not been exterminated. On the contrary, those who besieged Dragon Sect were all gone by now. This shocked everyone. With the downfall of Donghua Sacred Sect and Devil Corpse Palace, the revenge of the Dragon King has begun. I'm afraid those forces that participated in the siege are finished. The forces who participated account for 60% of the families and sacred sects from the orthodox sects and diabolism in the underworld. Can the Dragon King take revenge on them one by one? In less than 20 minutes, their speculation was answered. Devil Spirit's Temple of Diabolism was annihilated. Half an hour later, Dark Sect was annihilated. An hour later, Heavenly Sound Sect was annihilated. An hour and a half later, Dongmin Clan was annihilated. In just 2 hours, news of the various sacred sects and clans being annihilated kept coming. This time no one in the sects lived. The entire underworld was plunged into silence when they saw the messages uploaded onto the forum. Soon after, some of the people became frightened as their families and ancestral sects had participated in the siege. This struck an immense terror into them. Quick, disperse everyone. All of you find a place to hide. Those who can leave the country leave now. Back in Han family in Modu, all the family members revealed a frightful look when they read the news of the downfall of various sacred sects and clans. It was to their ultimate surprise that the siege of Dragon Sect had actually failed. They knew very well of the Four Elders' strength. If such domineering existences failed, Han family was nothing to them. Fear crept into them. Without any hesitation, the family head of Han family ordered them to run as far as they could. Do you think you can escape? At this time, Roving Sword and members of Dragon Sect appeared in the air within the huge villa of the Han family. They were glowering at the Han family, who was freaking out. What? How did they make it here so fast? When the members of the Han family heard Imo Qinglong, they craned up and yelled in quivering voices. No, please. Don't kill us. We surrender. Don't kill us. When the family head of Han family saw the disciples of Dragon Sect in the air, he was utterly devastated as he fell to his knees, begging for mercy. Kill? The cold voice took away all the hopes of the Han family as all of them fell into despair. Let's go. No one in the Han family was alive 3 minutes later. Roving Sword led Imo Qinglong and the rest to their next destination. Given Roving Sword's speed, it would at most take him 1 hour to fly from the farthest point east to the farthest point west in the country. Due to their daunting speed, the families and ancestral sects were annihilated before they could even react. No one left alive. When the group of forces besieged the Dragon Sect trying to kill the Shui family, they did not intend to leave anyone alive. Hence, Imo Qinglong and the gang would not go soft on them. None of them could stay alive in this massacre. Han family was annihilated. Lu family was annihilated. News of the ancestral sects and families quickly filled up the entire underworld forum. The entire underworld went into complete silence while all the ancestral sects and families gasped. At this moment, the world seemed to have quieted down. All the martial artists grew numb with the messages that they read. They were just staring blankly with all the forces having been wiped out. Once the Dragon King rages, blood flows for 1,000 miles. Almost 60% of the families and ancestral sects in the underworld had participated in the siege of Dragon Sect. Yet these forces were reduced at a daunting speed. Finally, someone on the forum confirmed that the one behind this was Dragon Sect at 8 p.m. Although the news did not create much of a ruckus in the forum, everyone was still stunned by it. How strong is the Dragon King? And how strong is the Dragon Sect? The Four Elders were already domineering just like Immortals. Yet they were still killed by the Dragon King. Tonight was a sleepless night for the underworld. Hours passed and dawn broke. The sun rose into the sky. As time passed, the sun set and the moon was hanging in the sky. Over 30 hours had passed. All the martial artists in the underworld were reduced by 60%. None of those forces that participated in the siege survived. No one escaped. Not even those families and ancestral sects who received news early. Dragon Sect spent 15 hours wiping out all the ancestral sects and families, and another 10-odd hours to round up those who tried to escape. Gosh, the underworld is down by 60% of its martial artists. Once the Dragon King rages, blood flows for 1,000 miles. Everyone will pay respect to Dragon Sect. Anyone who offends them will die. New posts began to surface in the forum. But the martial artists could clearly sense the significant loss in the active members of the underworld. All in all, there were over hundreds of thousands of martial artists in the underworld. But now not even half were left. The thought of the numbers terrified everyone. Dragon King signifies a taboo in the future. Some of the forces and families exclaimed to themselves. Trepidation and fear. From now on, no one in the underworld would ever speak ill of the Dragon King. The future of the underworld would definitely settle down. All the families and forces would pass down instructions to their children and disciples that they must address the Dragon King as the king. Chapter 630 Boundless Branch in Nirvana. Chapter 630 Boundless Branch in Nirvana. Base. In a luxurious villa of Gui province, a girl heaved a sigh of relief. A zither lay before her. As she saw over 30 disciples of the dragon sect with terrifying aura leave, she felt lost. Daughter, it's great that you avoided this catastrophe. Luckily you know the Dragon King. Beside her, the richest man in Gui province, Tang Jiuqiao, wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead as he spoke with a shaky voice. Heavenly Sound Sect has been annihilated. Tang Yinxian looked at the zither in her hands with complicated feelings. Sorrows were written over her face. Survival of the fittest. Yinxian, try to let this go. Tang Jiuqiao paused for a moment before saying, the Heavenly Sound Sect participated in the annihilation of the Dragon Sect. Now that the Dragon King is back, it's only natural that he administers the same treatment to his enemies. It's all about the survival of the fittest. Luckily you did not participate in it. They probably let you off because you weren't involved much in it and that middle-aged man knew you. Tang Yinxian smiled bitterly. She shook her head slowly and played a sorrowful piece. While Roving Sword led the Dragonians to take revenge, Wang Xian brought Xiao Yu and the other girls, together with all the corpses, towards the Dragon Palace on the yacht. Xiao Xian, how is Shuqing now? When they saw Wang Xian walk out of Guan Shuqing's room, the girls crowded over immediately and asked about her caringly. I'll definitely revive her. Wang Xian took a deep breath, forced out a smile and spoke to them. Shuqing's injuries were more severe than he had expected. The flaming long spear had penetrated her heart. If he had not arrived in time to preserve her heart with the powerful dragon energy, Shuqing might have been dead by now. Having the bloodline of the Suzaka definitely helped too. However, her conditions weren't optimistic despite all that. Wang Xian found it extremely hard to fully resuscitate her. Nonetheless, Wang Xian had the confidence that he would be able to do so given time. Brother, you've got to save sister-in-law. Xiao Yu held Wang Xian's arms and said to him. Yeah. Rest assured. Wang Xian caressed Xiao Yu's head and said, this time I failed to protect all of you. We can't always be depending on you to protect us. Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian and mumbled. She had inherited the most elite bloodline in this universe and possessed the strongest Kuan breeding ability in the universe. However, due to her lack of practice in cultivation, she was quite weak. If she had cultivated diligently, she would have been able to handle a crisis like this alone. It's all my fault. If only I had cultivated diligently. Qingyue, it is I who have failed to protect all of you. Wang Xian extended his arm over her waist and spoke softly. This will never happen again. As he spoke, he looked to son Lingxiu and Ajaya and forced a smile. Xiao Xian, sister Lingxiu and sister Ajaya are really nice. It's all thanks to them that we survived this time and we have gotten along really well. Lan Qingyue collected her emotions, held Wang Xian's arms and spoke with a heartwarming voice. It was only through hardship that relationships are built and strengthened. For the 6 girls, they had only survived this incident by fighting with their lives on the line for one another. Ajaya, who they had resisted all along, did not take a step back. Sun Lingxiu, who had been giving silently, did not take a step back. They had truly moved Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing through their actions. It was a great thing to have sisters who they could go through hardships together with. Therefore, when they fought with their lives together, Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing had put aside some obsessions they'd held. Wang Xian was taken aback when he first heard Lan Qingyue. He smiled soon after, reached out both of his arms and held the 2 girls in his embrace. Ajaya and Sun Lingxiu stiffened up but showed a smile soon after. Hee. Great. When sister-in-law Shuqing recovers, everything will be perfect. Xiao Yu was happy to see this as she wrapped her arms around her masters. Xiao Xian, where are we going? Ajaya stared at Wang Xian and asked curiously. You will know once we are there. Don't be surprised then. Ajaya turned to Wang Xian and smiled. Whoosh. At this moment, a water pillar that extended over 100 meters into the sky appeared. A humongous creature was swimming towards them. The creature in the water was roughly 50 meters in size and was swimming towards them at a terrifying speed. What's that monster? Ajaya was astonished and stared vigilantly into the sea. Don't be afraid. That's Xiao Lan. Lan Qingyue came to the deck. The Kuan, which Lan Qingyue had bred from a blue whale, surfaced from the water and revealed its humongous body. Xiao Lan had now grown to over 50 meters. Soon it would be able to advance to level 12. Let's go. We will dive down. Wang Xian stopped the yacht, picked up Guan Shuqing and spoke to the girls. Ajaya followed Wang Xian to the deck with curiosity and jumped into the sea soon after. As she dived into the sea and saw the majestic dragon palace, her eyes widened and she clearly couldn't believe what she was seeing. She acted just like how Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue and the rest had when they came here for the very first time. Her eyes widened and her mouth was slightly opened. Looking at the tall and slender Ajaya in heels and her red outfit, Wang Xian felt desire welling up inside him. Following which, he turned his head over to look at Sun Lingxiu and Lan Qingyue. He had been in Yongchang World for close to 2 months and was already finding the thirst hard to endure. If Shuqing was fine, Wang Xian would have pulled them onto the incomparably huge dragon bed. After discarding some of these thoughts, he entered the dragon palace. Wang Xian carried Guan Shuqing and walked towards where the dragon throne was. At the dragon throne, the segment of the soul-returning branch flew out of the space ring with just a thought of Wang Xian towards the progenitor tree. Countless miniature soul fruits had started growing on the soul-returning branch. Wang Xian heaved a sigh of relief as he prepared to carry Guan Shuqing towards the dragon pool. He wanted to see if the dragon blood within the dragon pool was sufficient to revive Shuqing. Screech, screech, screech. However, before Wang Xian started walking towards the dragon pool, the sound of rustling came from the progenitor tree. The next instant, a stream of fire shot towards him. Wang Xian was taken aback and turned his head instantly. This is Boundless branch. Wang Xian was taken aback and his attention was fixed fervently on the red branch of the progenitor tree. The branch emitted a red light as though there were rubies moving on it. That was the Boundless branch, a treasure Wang Xian had obtained in the Fire God Palace. At that time, the branch had penetrated his body and arrived at the Dragon Palace instantly. Wang Xian wasn't clear of the effects of the progenitor tree. However, the soul-returning tree could grow on it. Considering the terrifying soul-returning ability of the soul-returning tree, Wang Xian knew that the progenitor tree definitely wasn't something ordinary. The boundless branch that could grow on the progenitor tree would definitely be something extremely precious. The stream of fire shot towards him and landed on Guan Shuqing, who was in his embrace. The flames flowed towards the damaged area of her heart. The fiery red energy flowed into her heart instantly as though it was her blood. Wang Xian was surprised and watched in astonishment. Chapter 631 Level Up for Dragon Palace. Chapter 631 Level Up for Dragon Palace. Dong. Dong. As the flame from the boundless branch entered her heart like a stream of fresh blood, Guan Shuqing's heart began to beat. Wang Xian was frozen for a moment as he was taken aback. He carried Guan Shuqing to the throne and placed her on it. This is the boundless branch from the Fire God Palace. The Fire God's secret book mentioned that this boundless branch was obtained by the Fire God by chance. It's amazing because it can give off fire without any energy in it. Looking at that half-meter boundless branch on the progenitor tree, Ajaya exclaimed in disbelief. This boundless branch is extraordinary. Wang Xian stared at it. The flame on the boundless branch never ceased even when the branch was dead. But after appearing on the progenitor tree, this branch grew a little and became even more incredible. As the flame from the boundless branch entered the heart of Guan Shuqing, her pale-looking face recovered slowly, and her heart beat violently. With each beat, a fiery red glow emitted at the heart location. At the same time, a drop of fresh blood streamed towards the body. What's going on now? Is it Nirvana? Wang Xian was shocked as he stared at Guan Shuqing. The vitality of Shuqing seems to be multiplying. Ajaya, Lan Qingyue, and the rest were elated as they sensed the vitality within Guan Shuqing. Wang Xian and the gang kept watch for more than 10 minutes. After noticing that Guan Shuqing was all right, they heaved a sigh of relief. All of you take a rest. Shuqing might wake up in no time. As Wang Xian spoke, he walked towards the dragon pool. With a movement from the space ring, the bodies of golden swordfish and the dragonians landed on the ground. The corpses ablated into the ground at a super-fast speed. Whoosh! Streams of blood flowed out from the 9 dragon heads. The pool of blood that was collected within the dragon pool slowly formed into an oval egg. The soul-returning branch and the dragon pool could resurrect the members of Dragon Sect. But this was limited to only within Dragon Sect and Dragon Palace, as the members of Dragon Palace and Dragonians owned the blood of Wang Xian and carried the mark of Dragon Palace. The progenitor tree in Dragon Palace already recognized Wang Xian as their owner. With his blood, anyone could be resurrected using the dragon pool and soul-returning branch. However, nothing would work without Wang Xian's blood. As such, only Xiao Yu, Elder Fang and Sun Lingxiu among the 6 girls could be resurrected. Dragon King. At this time, Prime Minister Turtle, who had spotted Wang Xian earlier, swam over and greeted him when Wang Xian stopped for a rest. Hee hee. Upon seeing Prime Minister Turtle, Wang Xian beamed. The current Prime Minister Turtle was not a 7 meters colossal turtle. He was 7 meters tall, looked like someone in the 60s with a wisp of a beard, and had a shell behind his back. He looked just like the Prime Minister Turtle from Journey to the West on television. After going through the resurrection, he reshaped his body, and he possessed 2 forms now. Prime Minister Turtle has also advanced to the budding realm, which was 1 level up. Dragon King, do you want me to get the rest of the members here? Asked Prime Minister Turtle to Wang Xian. Nope. Continue with your cultivation. Wang Xian dismissed him with a wave as he headed back to his Dragon King Hall. He activated the space ring and spiritual stones fell on the ground. Subsequently, a heap of metals that could refine spiritual equipment piled up on the side. All these spiritual stones and metals were obtained from the Yongchang world, while a myriad of metal could pile into a hill. Ding. 100,000 spiritual stones and a ton of spiritual grade material detected. Do you want to upgrade Dragon King Hall? Upgrade. Upon hearing the prompt from the system, radiance flashed in Wang Xian's eyes as he answered immediately. Upgrading Dragon King Hall to level 2 required 100,000 spiritual stones and a ton of spiritual grade material. After upgrading to level 2, the cultivation speed would be enhanced by 6 times. The spiritual energy within the Dragon Palace was already less dense than Yongchang world. But with the 6 times speed enhancement, the energy within Dragon Palace would be much thicker than Yongchang world. Sensing the instant boost of the surrounding energy, Wang Xian was elated. He swung his arm, bringing out 1,000 pieces of spiritual equipment, a ton of material with water properties, and 200,000 spiritual stones. Ding. 100,000 spiritual stones and a ton of water-attributed material detected. Do you want to upgrade Dragon Sect? Ding. 1,000 pieces of spiritual equipment detected. Do you want to upgrade Dragon Field? Ding. 100,000 spiritual stones detected. Do you want to upgrade Dragon Cave? Wang Xian confirmed all the notifications that came in. With every building upgraded in the Dragon Palace, the effect would be doubled. Take Dragon Field for instance. The current Dragon Field was at level 2, where members of Dragon Palace could practice and understand their attack techniques at twice the speed. This would significantly enhance their combat capacity. All the more, the Dragon Cave could boost the cultivation speed of the members by a fold. We're left with Dragon Array, Dinghai Divine Rod and Dragon Pool not upgraded yet. Once we upgrade these 3 buildings, the Dragon Palace will be at level 2, which is maneuverable. Wang Xian pondered to himself. After upgrading the buildings, the material and spiritual equipment were almost depleted. All that was left in his space ring were elixir pills. Next, I need to enhance the cultivation and levels of Dragonians, and get some good rest in Dragon Palace. Wang Xian dived out of the water and notified Mo Qinglong and his men. Subsequently, he dragged his tired body back to the royal residence hall. Due to the stress from the fact that the 9 Cauldron worlds were going to descend into the real world, Wang Xian basically did not rest in Yongchang world. Now it was time to take a break. Back in his room, he already saw the girls sleeping on the bed. Perhaps they were too tired such that all of them were in a deep sleep. Wang Xian smiled as he walked to the bed and collapsed. When he woke up, he realized there was no one else except himself in the room. Wang Xian walked out with a broad smile as he spotted the girls cultivating in the Dragon Field. The incident had spurred them on, motivating them to cultivate themselves harder. Wang Xian visited Guan Shuqing and everything was normal for her. He then proceeded to Dragon Field and gathered all the members of Dragon Palace. The current 9 level 12 venomous sea snakes were outstanding. 1 more level up and they could evolve into serpents. They remained in their original forms without changing into humans. For the Yuxia clan, they were all burly looking. Just as the Golden Swordfish clan had their weapons in their hands, the forks were carried in their muscular hands. Apart from roving Yiksha at level 12 and 15 of them at level 11, the rest of the entire patrolling Yiksha were at level 10. Devil monkeys remained in monkey forms with no changes. Roving Heavens was at level 12 while 10 of them were at level 11. The rest had advanced to level 10. On top of that, Roving Lobster and Roving Girl had advanced to level 11. The current strength of the Dragon Palace was already compelling. However, Wang Xian was still dissatisfied, especially after witnessing the prowess of the 9 Cauldron worlds. Chapter 632 Enhanced Development. Chapter 632 Enhanced Development. Establishing an underwater dynasty and civilization. Establishing a sea region under the jurisdiction of the Dragon Palace dynasty, and the Dragon Palace would be the Emperor Palace. Wang Xian could never think of such a thing or even dare to think that way. This was an establishment of a new kingdom, proclaiming him to be a real king. Even after Wang Xian obtained the system and set up a Dragon Palace, he had never thought of building an empire or a civilization as a modern person. Yet, Prime Minister Turtle suggested he established one. Wang Xian remained silent with a constant mixed expression. But the radiance in his eyes glowed brighter and brighter. Oceans occupy 70% of the Earth's surface with races existing in the underwater world. But there isn't a real civilization in the sea just like the one on Earth. We can establish the first underwater civilization, the first empire. Those who defy our wish will be exterminated while the rest will become our subjects. Gather all the resources in the sea for the establishment of the civilization. We will take control of the myriad races in the sea. Even if we can only control a portion of them, we can still command them. The unlimited marine creatures will be our eyes, servicing us with the information that we need. Besides, we can set up our Dragon Gate. Whoever from the countless marine races that succeeds in leaping over the Dragon Gate will become our general of Dragon Sect. This could help us select and recruit talents, said Prime Minister Turtle to Wang Xian with excitement. Carry on. Wang Xian closed his eyes as he sank in his dragon throne. Currently we only have the Devil Division, Dragon Guard Division, and over 200 Anomaly. During wars there are various components such as formations, infantry, cavalry, archers. I think our members should be able to perform attacks, defense, close and remote attacks, air and land strikes and support. There was a beam of wisdom in Prime Minister Turtle's eyes. Not only this, but we also need to complement the attributes of the members in Dragon Palace. In the event that we need to conquer or deal with more powerful enemies, our formations will greatly enhance our combat capacity. Among the 9 attributes of the Divine Dragon, metal, earth, wind, thunder and darkness are better in close-range fights whilst wood, water, fire, and light are good in remote fights. We can assign different roles accordingly to the members during battles. Lastly, we need to have wise civil subjects. They can be weak, but they must have strong analytical abilities and see things in a macro way. This would greatly benefit us in terms of territory management and warfare. Prime Minister Turtle slowly spoke while Wang Xian heaved a heavy breath. Establishing a real dynasty with its own territory and officials. The benefits of establishing an underwater dynasty were huge. As for wars, he also thought about the soldiers, ranged support and scouts. However, it was only a vague idea that Wang Xian had in mind. Now, Prime Minister Turtle actually mentioned all these with a proper system. The establishment of an underwater dynasty is not an overnight event, Wang Xian murmured. Dragon King, we can make preparations first. At present, the Dragon Palace is the strongest within a radius of 1,000 miles. We can first unify the marine races and cultivate generals from them. Every general of the marine races could rule those lower levels beings of the same kind. Then we'll make them leap over the Dragon Gate. Those who are able to enter Dragon Palace will be groomed as the soldiers of Dragon Palace. The best thing is, we can manage our territory better and get hold of the updates within it if we had them in control, said Prime Minister Turtle to Wang Xian. Great, you'll handle this now. Get Roving Heavens, Roving Yiksha, 9 venomous sea snakes, Anomaly, Roving Lobster and Roving Girl over here now. Wang Xian nodded his head and commanded Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon King. I'll bring them over now. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. With a whiz, all of them rushed over. Dragon King. A group of level 12 members bowed to Wang Xian, who was sitting on the dragon throne. From now on, all of you shall listen to Prime Minister Turtle's commands when I'm not around. Cooperate with him as he's our major domo from now on. Wang Xian ordered. Yes, Dragon King. Roving Heavens and the rest immediately nodded respectfully. Thank you, Dragon King. From now on, I'll be preparing to set up a team of wise civil officials, said Prime Minister Turtle, kneeling down. Sure. If you need any books, look for Mo Qinglong and he'll get them for you. Wang Xian nodded. Yes, Dragon King. Next, Prime Minister Turtle will make plans on how to expand our territory and get more resources. I'll leave this to you. Yes, Dragon King. The rest of you keep cultivating. Now take your leave. Yes. The so-called first court meeting ended with Prime Minister Turtle and the members taking their leave. Wang Xian chuckled as he felt more and more competent as a Dragon King. He had no worries about the development of Dragon Palace since Prime Minister Turtle was around to save him the troubles. He could also leave all the things to the Dragon Sect members who were 100% loyal to him. For the next few days, Wang Xian stayed in the Dragon Palace, waiting for the awakening of Guan Shuqing. There was no day and night at Dragon Palace. When Ajaya and the rest were tired from their cultivation, they would return to the royal residence hall and rest. Wang Xian would definitely not miss the chance for a round of lovemaking. During these few days he was leading a relaxing life. So beautiful. After the love session, Lan Qingyue came to the door of the royal residence hall and cast her gaze outside. There was a look of surprise on her face. The sea regions within a radius of 1,000 miles have been conquered by the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian saw that the densely packed marine creatures around the Dragon Palace were looking over in their direction in awe. The number of the surrounding marine creatures was in the billions. If he could devour all these marine creatures, he could definitely gain an immense amount of dragon energy. However, doing this, it was impossible for him to level up. Besides, these marine creatures were of great use. Under the gaze of Wang Xian, these marine creatures began their challenge of Dragon Gate. Their eyes were burning with fire as their natural instinct took over. After leaping over the Dragon Gate, they would have a completely different life then. Wang Xian smiled as he watched. He may not understand how to manage a country, but he knew that these marine creatures could increase the strength of the Dragon Palace by many folds. Those who successfully leaped over the Dragon Gate were all domineering existences. Even in the universe they could be considered as wicked ones. And that is if they continue to work hard. Dragon King, there are 30 marine creatures that leaped over the Dragon Gate this time. More than 10 hours later, Prime Minister Turtle came to report to Wang Xian after the Dragon Gate challenge was completed. Only 30 out of tens of billions, that's 1 out of 10 billion. Wang Xian shook his head. Dragon King, we have more than these billions of marine creatures in the waters near us. Those who came today were only from one of the batches. After all the marine creatures complete the challenge, I believe our strength will grow by more than 100 members. Chapter 633 Attacking Cities and Occupying Land. Chapter 633 Attacking Cities and Occupying Land. Dragon King, after days of investigation by the members of the Dragon Palace, we have decided to attack an area. However, through our investigation, this area isn't simple. After reporting on the matters of the marine races leaping through the Dragon Gate, Prime Minister Turtle continued with a solemn face. Where are we attacking? Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle and asked curiously. Here. To Wang Xian's surprise, Prime Minister Turtle took out a map as he spoke. The map had detailed records of the sea region in the vicinity. Prime Minister Turtle had also divided the map into several regions. Wang Xian looked at the map and raised an eyebrow. On the map, the white region represented the sea region with a radius of 1,000 miles that the Dragon Palace was currently occupying. Other than that, to the east of the Dragon Palace was a region marked out in black. Other than the region demarcated in black, there were still regions demarcated in red and blue. These three regions were clearly separated. The black region marked out by Prime Minister Turtle seems to be the disordered region. The red region is the area near Japan and the blue area is around India. Wang Xian looked at the map and thought to himself. Are we attacking the black region? Wang Xian asked. Yes, Dragon King. After our investigation, the black region is a place with bountiful resources. Although it is currently occupied by a large number of marine species, we can definitely give it a try with the strength that the Dragon Palace possesses currently. In this piece of sea region we found a type of treasure called pure blood corals. Consuming these are highly beneficial for marine species. Prime Minister Turtle explained to Wang Xian. Pure blood corals? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. He had heard about the pure blood corals in the disordered region when he was in the sea previously. Various forces and overseas wandering groups had gathered in that piece of sea region. Even a sacred sect had to be careful when entering the area. When are you planning to attack? Wang Xian asked Prime Minister Turtle. Right away. I'm thinking of mobilizing 300 devil monkeys and the Anomaly race. They will be led by Roving Heavens, the leader of the Anomaly race, Roving Girl and Roving Lobster. Roving Sword will be stationed by the side. Prime Minister Turtle continued, there might be powerful creatures or races in this piece of sea region. We might not be able to occupy it this time, making it mainly a scouting mission. Powerful creatures? Could there be any creature that could match Roving Sword? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. Dragon King, the region we are occupying is a region where marine resources are lacking. There aren't many marine species that have gathered here. The 3 regions that I have demarcated are regions where there are tremendous resources and races. The Black region has pure blood corals. Through our investigation, the Red region has a deep Grand Canyon. There are some spiritual objects within it and various terrifying races. Strange seabed creatures are densely congregating in the Blue region. There should be some mystical objects in that place. Prime Minister Turtle introduced each region to Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head silently. The sea was an incomparably mystical place with various races occupying different areas. In that case, ask the Dragonians to follow me over. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded his head. Qingyue Lingxiu Ajaya. Didn't you say that it's a little boring here? Let's go out for a trip. Wang Xian stepped into the royal residence hall and spoke to the 3 girls. Go out? What about Xuqing? Are we leaving her behind alone? Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian and asked. Xuqing has made it past the critical stage. I'll get Prime Minister Turtle to take care of her. Let's go on a trip. It won't take long. Wang Xian smiled and said to the girls. The girls immediately nodded their heads joyously. They had been staying in the Dragon Palace for over 20 days. Other than the time they were on the bed making love, they had spent all their time cultivating. This made them feel a little bored. I'll go inform Xiao Yu and Elder Fong. Wang Xian moved and arrived at the peak of a nearby mountain. Xiao Yu and Elder Fong had dug out a cave abode. Although it wasn't as luxurious as the royal residence hall, it wasn't bad at all. It's a great idea to get some rest outside. Xiao Yu chuckled and followed Wang Xian to the surface of the water. When Wang Xian boarded the yacht on the surface of the sea, Roving Heavens, the leader of the Anomaly race, Roving Lobster, Roving Girl, and Roving Sword had already led the 500 Dragon Palace members to wait for Wang Xian at the bottom of the sea. At the same time, Mo Qinglong and the other Dragonians would also be following them. Mo Qinglong had now reached half-step to budding realm while the rest of the Dragonians were at the Dan realm. Overall, they were still a respectable force. The Dragon Palace felt more comfortable than the outside world. Upon boarding the yacht, Ajaya took a deep breath and frowned instantly. That's to be expected. The spiritual energy in the royal residence hall is several times that of the outside world. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. He took out a map and said, We are heading to the disordered region. At the edge of the disordered region, there's a coral island. That's our destination and we will be playing there for a few days. Wang Xian pointed to an island on the map as he spoke. Glacier Coral Island? Great. That's a famous tourist island. I heard that there's a spring on the island. Taking a bath there would be great for the skin. Xiao Yu remarked excitedly. Wang Xian nodded his head with a smile. Let's head towards there then. When we reach it, you girls can play on the island for several days while the members of the Dragon Palace will head towards the disordered region. All right, let's go, the 5 girls replied with smiles. Tourism was probably something that every girl was interested in. It was especially so for Xiao Yu. She had not been to many places and was interested to know more about the outside world. Put on a clean set of clothes and have some tea. Xiao Yu skipped to the second floor of the yacht, changed to a set of clean clothes and poured herself a cup of tea. Initially she didn't have a love for tea. However, these tea leaves were brought back by Wang Xian from the Yongchang world. Not only would one feel refreshed with just a sip, but they would also want to keep trying the tea. It was the same for the other girls. After which, they took out their mobile phones. After being disconnected from the world for a few days, they could finally have some fun. Wang Xian chuckled while standing by the side. He could sense the Dragon Palace members and the Dragonians below him while looking far ahead. The disordered region spanned a radius of 1,000 miles. That was a restricted region for navigation and fishing. Some old fishermen had circulated that the place was filled with underwater sea monsters and countless ruthless pirates. Death was almost certain for those who headed there for fishing. The yacht moved rapidly. After 5 hours, an island appeared before their eyes. We have reached Glacier Coral Island, the island that is ranked in the top 5 most beautiful islands. Xiao Yu looked ahead with anticipation. Glacier Coral Island was a huge island. The population of the island stood at approximately 1 million, and 50% of the population was made up of tourists. Wang Xian looked ahead. 10 kilometers ahead of the Glacier Coral Island would be part of the disordered region. Based on what Prime Minister Turtle said, if we can occupy this area, the Dragon Palace's strength will increase by 2 times. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. The members of the Dragon Palace were here to occupy the region below the sea, while the Dragonians of the Dragon Sect were here to occupy the sea surface. The sea would be the territory of the Dragon Palace in the future. Chapter 634 Fashion Show. Chapter 634 Fashion Show. Xiao Yu, Qingyue, Lingxiu, you girls stay here while I settle some stuff in the disordered region. The yacht approached the island and parked under the guidance of the staff. Wang Xian scanned the entire island, where it seemed to be overcrowded. You're going over now? It's almost evening. Lan Qingyue and the rest fixed their discontented eyes on Wang Xian. I was hoping you could accompany us. Wang Xian shook his head and smiled. After I settle the remaining stuff here, I can join all of you for a few days here. Sir, aren't you here for the Victoria's Secret fashion show? Why are you leaving again? Asked the staff from the Glacier Coral Island in bewilderment when he overheard their conversation. Victoria's Secret fashion show? Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue, and the rest froze for a moment with a surprised look surfacing on their faces. Didn't you know about it? The reason for the crowd on this island these few days is because of Victoria's Secret fashion show. So I thought you guys came to watch it too. The staff smiled and did not say anything further. Is it being held today? The 5 girls exchanged gazes as they asked with glistening eyes. Yes, it's tonight. This time it's a public show, but it will be crowded. The staff nodded. Sir and madam, do you want to book a hotel? Yes, 2 presidential suites. Lan Qingyue nodded and stared at the rest of the girls fervently. It's the Victoria's Secret fashion show. We must have a look and buy some clothes. That's right. Hee, but I wonder if there are any more front row seats. All the angelic beauties from all over the world will be here. I feel like going too. Not only Lan Qingyue but even Sun Lingxiu, who would have always been indifferent, was also full of interest now. No woman disliked beauty. Xiao Xian, are you going? If not, we're going to have fun ourselves tonight. Lan Qingyue huddled over and smiled at him. Fine, I'll go with you girls. Wang Xian shrugged and spoke with a smile. Hey, are you sure you're not changing your mind because it's the Victoria's Secret fashion show? What a pervert. Ha. The girls stared at Wang Xian, making him speechless. Am I that kind of person? I feel content with you girls around. Wang Xian shook his head immediately as he responded with a serious face. Who will believe you? Lan Qingyue rolled eyes at him. Let's go. It's 3 p.m. now. The show starts at 6. Let's go and get our tickets. Hurry, there are probably no tickets by now. Might have some scalper tickets? Let's see if we can get some. Although this was a public show, it had a seating area and therefore tickets were required. In the country, there was once a fashion show where tickets were resold for more than 300,000. Even so, there were buyers around. One could imagine how crazy that fashion show was. Those who could enter the show were people who had a net worth of more than 10 million. Moreover, it was a lingerie show that featured the top-notch beauties from all around the world. Wang Xian had heard of the Victoria's Secret fashion show too. He ordered the members of Dragon Palace to enter the disordered region first while Mo Qinglong and his gang waited for him someplace on the island. Brother, go and ask where to buy the tickets. Arm in arm, the 5 girls instructed Wang Xian. Fine. Adding to his loss for words, Wang Xian found a passerby and asked him. Follow me, but I'm not sure if there are any more tickets. Wang Xian headed to a vintage building along with the girls. Glacier Coral Island, as a world-renowned tourist island, had a superb environment. Clean land, warm sunshine, clear skies with distinct colors from the sea. Cool hunks and hotties were all around the island. You better get us the tickets no matter what. Xiaoyu grumbled while Wang Xian chuckled and patted her head. They came to the official ticket office and sure enough, the tickets had been sold out since it was near to the opening time. I'll check if there are any scalper tickets. Wang Xian shrugged as he surveyed his surroundings. Hey buddy, want tickets? Just then, a young man approached Wang Xian with a hint of excitement in his eyes. He fished tickets out of his pockets. Her? How many do you have? Asked Wang Xian immediately after pausing for a moment. How many do you want? The young man asked instead. 6. Do you have them? Wang Xian raised his eyebrow. Yes, one for 400,000. It's in the front row. The young man scrutinized him from head to toe before he said this right away. Give me 6 tickets. 400,000 for a ticket was a skyrocketed amount. 6 would make 4 million. Are they authentic tickets? Wang Xian asked impassively upon seeing the young man taking out his notebook, getting ready for the bank transfer. Don't worry. Look for me if you got fake tickets. There are bank transfer records. The young man drew his lips and spoke with confidence. Great. Without any further words, Wang Xian transferred the money over. Done? Wang Xian waved the 6 tickets in his hands and looked toward the girls. Awesome. Let's find a place and take a short break. The 5 girls pointed at a place and walked over while Wang Xian followed behind with a broad smile. Haha, rich people are dumb. Such an idiot. That young man who had sold the scalper tickets was looking all excited as he stared at the disappearing figures. He didn't even bother to check. What a dumbass. Perhaps he's too silly such that he has 5 babes surrounding him. The young man could not help but kiss his notebook. So what if you find out about my account? I have joined the Yaofeng Wandering Group as my backing if you dare to seek trouble. With this money, I can buy some pure blood coral to enhance my cultivation level. The young man murmured as he walked to a building in the middle with a beaming face. Wang Xian accompanied the 5 girls for afternoon tea while they were taking pictures without stopping. Let's go. Around 5, Wang Xian brought the ladies to the Victoria's Secret fashion show. The show was located in the middle of the island, and was set up outdoors with a luxurious catwalk stage and seating area. Many people came to watch the show, including not only men but also babes. Among these, there were renowned celebrities invited over from Asia. Every year, the Victoria's Secret fashion show marked a grand feast that brought together the top brands from the world and the most trendy lingerie. Not only did it attract the men but it also attracted the ladies. Wang Xian had to say he'd decided to postpone his trip to the disordered region to tomorrow because of this. When Wang Xian and the ladies arrived, the entrance was crowded with over thousands of people. All of them were lined up to verify their tickets. Chapter 635, Wet Their Pants, 1. Chapter 635, Wet Their Pants, 1. Wow, there are so many people around. Yeah, take a look ahead. Oh gosh. That's Ling Tianyue. The singing diva of Asia, Ling Tianyue. That's the movie star Lu Kongfei. There are so many stars here. There are so many stars from our country. And there are several stars from Japan and Korea too. Other than those elite stars, there are also a substantial number of famous businessmen and rich second generations. There are so many people from our country. Hehe. Let's see if there are any nice outfits here. We can buy some here. Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue, Ajaya, and the 2 other girls discussed excitedly. I'll show you something great tonight. If there's anything nice, I'll get it for you. Wang Xian interrupted upon hearing their conversation. This was the second objective of Wang Xian for coming to this place. Buying some clothes for them. Wearing various styles would be pleasing to the eyes. I know you wouldn't be so nice to us suddenly. Lan Qingyue rolled her eyes at him. She turned to hold Ajaya's arms and commented, I feel that with Sister Ajaya's height and figure, she would definitely be the center of attention in a fashion show. Yeah. Sister-in-law Ajaya's figure is really great. If only I had a figure as great as you. What are you looking at? At this moment, a furious voice came from behind them. No matter how great my figure is, I'm just a toy. Aren't I pretty? Guys like you are creatures that will only think with your lower half. At this moment, the group could hear the voices of girls from behind their backs. Their voices were sharp and annoying. Wang Xian frowned slightly and turned around. There was a group of 5 behind them, of which 3 were girls while 2 were guys. Wang Xian could recognize one of the girls and one of the guys. They were some small stars within the country. To put it bluntly, there were stars without significant works or capabilities that had only become stars through marketing gimmicks. The other two girls were roughly 20 to 30 years old and were wearing branded clothes throughout. One was slightly plump while the other had the face of an internet celebrity. The slightly plump girl was unhappy with the guy beside her, who was staring at her. "I've just taken a glance. Not a second more," the guy said apologetically to the girl. "You are not allowed to take even a glance. If you dare to look at other vixens again, don't blame me for not being courteous." The slightly plump girl stared at the guy and spoke with a domineering front. All right. The guy nodded his head profusely, seemingly a little afraid of that plump girl. "Tsk. You are the ugly one and yet you still dare call others a vixen." Upon hearing the girl behind her, Xiaoyu looked over in contempt and blurted this out. With her brother around, there was nothing she was afraid of. If someone was insulting them, Xiaoyu would naturally retort. "What? Who are you calling ugly? Who are you talking about?" When the slightly plump girl heard Xiaoyu, the excess flesh on her face constricted as she stared harshly at Xiaoyu. The ugly person would know. "What are you getting so worked up for?" Xiaoyu smirked and replied plainly. "Tsk. Some people might have a pretty face but their hearts are black. No one knows how many men they have slept with. Yuan, don't be bothered by them." "That's right. Some girls might be pretty but no one knows how dirty their bodies are." The other two girls beside the plump girl stared coldly at Xiaoyu and the girls while ridiculing them. "I have seen many pretty girls, especially in the entertainment circle. Those pretty girls will do anything to make their names known." Hehe. The male star standing by the side said to the plump girl. "They don't even have a branded piece on them and yet they dare to be here. They definitely are sugar babies. However, their sugar daddy is probably a poor fuck." The slightly plump lady looked at Xiaoyu and the girls and jealousy gleamed in her eyes as she remarked ruthlessly. "You are. Ticket check. Please take out your ticket." Just as Xiaoyu and the girls were about to retort, they heard the voice of the employee ahead. They stopped and simply stared at the group. "Watch your words and don't bring yourself unnecessary troubles. You guys wouldn't be able to take it." Wang Xian stared emotionlessly at the group of five as he issued his warning. Hehe. Who do you think we are? We wouldn't be able to take it? The guy who was standing by the side with his arms on his waist and earrings in his ears stared at Wang Xian with contempt upon hearing him. "I'm sorry ladies, these tickets are fake." At this moment, the voice of the employee sounded. What? Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue and the girls were stunned and exclaimed in astonishment. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and a tinge of killing intent flashed across his eyes. He turned, ignoring the male star. He turned around and said, "We got these tickets from a reseller." "I'm sorry. These are indeed fake tickets. Since you bought them from non-official channels, we won't be able to take responsibility for it." The young employee apologized upon hearing Wang Xian. "Ah, fake tickets? How interesting. Could it be that you couldn't afford the real tickets and made some fake tickets with the hope of getting in?" "That's a real possibility. Just take a look at the way they're dressed. It's within reason to think that they couldn't afford the tickets." Ridicule from the guys and girls sounded from behind them, annoying Wang Xian. The clothes on Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue and the girls were all level 12 spiritual equipment that he had refined. It was just that the style was similar to modern clothing. Without any labels, they were seen as cheap clothing in the eyes of others. How dare they lie to me? They must be tired of living. At the thought of the young man who had sold him the fake tickets, ruthlessness flashed across his eyes. "Get out of the way. Why are you still standing there? Don't delay our entrance." Once again the voices of the girls and guys behind them sounded. What happened? What's the matter?" The commotion at the entrance had instantly drawn the attention of the surrounding crowd. The truth was some people had noticed this place when the quarrel started. "I think they bought some fake tickets." "Fake tickets? Tickets can be verified directly. Why would there still be people falling for the fake tickets?" The surrounding crowd discussed in shock. "That guy. He looks familiar." Yes. Gosh. It's him. It's really him. In that case, those girls with him." At this moment, some middle-aged and old men around him opened their eyes widely as astonishment was written all over their faces. There was a person whose name was known throughout the world. It was especially so since a month ago. In that catastrophe, all the families and sects in the country circulated a photo to warn all people not to court their own deaths. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to trouble the people in the photos to take action. Their families and sects would kill them personally. Following which, news of this incident had also reached all the rich and wealthy businessmen in the country. When this group of rich and wealthy businessmen heard the news, they almost wet their pants. Chapter 636, Wet Their Pants 2. Chapter 636, Wet Their Pants 2. Having 60% of the entire underworld wiped out was such a scary matter. Those affluent families and tycoons knew something about the underworld. Even though it might seem far to them, it was, in fact, not the case. In the face of those compelling martial artists, they had always been in reverence of them, not to mention those powerful ancient martial artist families. Yet, such a daunting underworld had 60% of its strength massacred by one man. Massacring 60% of the martial artists and the ancestral sects of the underworld. What concept is this? This was the massive modern massacre. In this peaceful era, killing 1 or 2 people was the most heinous criminal. Then what about the one who dared to kill more than 10,000 people? Killing one is a sin, but killing thousands is overbearing. When those tycoons heard the news, they broke into a cold sweat and almost wet their pants. They were exclaiming that the underworld was such a scary place. Hence, they tried to obtain this person's information through various ties and channels. Dragon King of Dragon Sect. Those who had the resources had already gotten a picture of Dragon King to check out his look. They did it not out of curiosity but more for a precautionary measure. They could not afford to offend such a domineering existence, not even for the richest man in the country. No one could do anything even if he killed the top 10 moguls in the country. Not even the government could control such a person. Those who had the photo kept the face in mind so that they could avoid him at all costs if they ever encountered him. Yet all of them present were not expecting they would meet Wang Xian in person on this very day. Or even encounter such a drama. The Dragon King actually bought fake tickets. They could not help but pray for the fellow who had sold the tickets and secretly praise him for his boldness. That fellow who dared to cheat this man was definitely seeking his own doom. Apart from the ticket seller, they also took their hats off to several young people who had mocked the Dragon King and his girlfriends. They were deeply impressed by their ways of seeking quick death. Those who recognized Wang Xian had constant mixed expressions. One of the middle-aged men were looking even more dreadful. He was the director of Heavenly King Media, the famous bachelor and the boss of the largest media company in the country. As he fixed his eyes on the 5 young people, especially the guy with the earrings and the pretty girl, he almost wanted to faint. Darn. He could not help but curse as he felt like crying out. He remembered clearly the other time when a big shot from the underworld had called him, saying that one of his artistes had offended the Dragon King. Upon hearing the news, he almost jumped. Back then, the Dragon King was a colossus. Compared to the past, the Dragon King had grown even scarier, driving people to the wall. Why are those who offended Dragon King all from Heavenly King Media? Darn. Director Wang of Heavenly King Media was shaking in his boots. He was afraid that this brutal Dragon King would slaughter him straight away. Shit. With a mixed expression, Director Wang bit the bullet, dragging his stiff body over to Wang Xian. Dragon King. When Wang Xian wanted to teach the group of young people a lesson after hearing what they said, a sudden cry came from behind. Her? Her? Wang Xian frowned and turned around, fixing his cold eyes on that middle-aged man. When both the celebrities saw the middle-aged man, they froze for a moment before standing up straight and calling out fervently, Director Wang. Director Wang ignored the 2 ignorant celebrities and forced a dreadful-looking smile on his face. Dragon King, I'm Xiao Wang from Heavenly King Media. As Director Wang spoke, he wiped away the film of cold sweat on his forehead. Our damn celebrities have offended you. I'll give you a satisfactory answer to this. Just leave it to me and I'll make sure you're happy with the outcome. Please do not mind those 2 useless beggars. What? The words that came from Director Wang struck the 2 celebrities dumb. Unbelievable looks surfaced on their faces. Their eyes widened when they saw their director lowering his body, humbling himself. Director Wang was the CEO of a company with a market value worth billions. Now it turned out. And he even said those kinds of words. Dragon King, I have 3 tickets over here. I hope you don't mind. Take them and I'll get you another 3. Seeing that Wang Xian did not utter any words, Director Wang hurriedly handed over his admission tickets. "Hello, Dragon King." Just then all the suited-up middle-aged men walked over with respect. Their voices were soft as they humbled themselves. All of them held tickets in their hands. "Dragon King, I have some admission tickets too. Go in with the ladies." "Dragon King, I have some too. Here's for you." "Leave those 5 fellows to me. I'll take care of them." "Yes, leave it to us. Cease your anger, Dragon King." After Director Wang of Heavenly King Media walked over, those middle-aged men hesitated before they gritted their teeth and headed over with their tickets. They were not trying to befriend or curry favors, but rather they did it out of awe and fear. Instinctively they walked over with the admission tickets. They were not hoping Dragon King could remember them, or asking for any advantages from him. It was purely out of reverence. At this time the 5 young people behind Wang Xian were completely stunned. The director of Heavenly King Media, the largest media group within the country. The director of Donghao Group had a market value worth billions. The young master of the Lin Foundation, whose family's assets were worth hundreds of billions. The CEO of MO Cube Technology Company in Modu with a net worth of over 10 billion. Each one of them was a renowned big shot, but now they were all walking over to that young man respectfully. All of them humbled themselves and handed over the tickets in their hands. Every big shot had at least 3 to 4 tickets, acting like they were some minions. What kind of people could strike reverence and fear into them? However, what they said shook the 5 young people. These several big shots said they were just some insignificant damn figures. Leave it to them. Their eyes dimmed. What kind of people did they offend or ridicule? "I just need 6 tickets and that will do. Thank you." Wang Xian extended his hand and thanked them. "Dragon King, take mine. I'll handle the 5 people. Plus mine, Dragon King. Take mine." The other middle-aged man and Director Wang hastened to pass the tickets over. "Well, thank you." Wang Xian nodded to the 2 middle-aged men. Director Wang and that middle-aged were so happy as though they were some elementary students being praised by their teacher. Chapter 637 Plotting 1. Chapter 637 Plotting 1. Puff puff. They are in. They are finally in. Who would have expected us to meet the Dragon King in this place? Seeing Wang Xian and the 5 girls enter, those middle-aged men standing outside wiped the cold sweat from their faces. From the beginning to the end, Wang Xian didn't speak on the matter. Nonetheless, this still brought immense pressure to them. The name of Dragon King had resounded throughout China after the incident a month ago. He was definitely an existence that no one could afford to offend in all of China. Even if it was just criticism, no one dared to. This was respect and fear built on violence. Director Wang turned around to look at the group of 5 and his attention fell on the 2 artistes under his company. At this very moment, the 5 of them stood in one corner, feeling horrified. That's right. They were horrified. It was as though they had just witnessed something terrifying. "Director Lin, leave the 5 of them to us." Director Wang looked at the few people around him, pulled a long face and remarked. "Yeah, leave them to us. Make sure you handle this cleanly. We can't afford to draw the irk of that guy. You don't have to kill them. Crippling them would be sufficient." Several other directors nodded their heads. The group of 5 had turned as pale as snow and despair filled their faces. "Director, we have learned our lesson. We have learned our lesson. Please let us go. Director, we are artistes under your company." When that male star heard the conversation of Director Wang, his face was incomparably pale as he begged for mercy from the middle-aged man. "It isn't that I wouldn't want to let you off. It's that you guys have courted your own deaths. You have offended the only person that couldn't be offended in China. Yang Zhe was a good example. Who would have thought that you guys would court your own deaths? Don't blame me for being merciless." Director Wang stared emotionlessly at them. "What? Yang Zhe?" That male star was stunned and despair filled his face. Yang Zhe was also an artiste under Heavenly King Media. A few months ago, he was announced dead by the official channel of Heavenly King Media. At that time, the entire company was shocked. Initially, everyone thought he had really passed away. What they learned later was that he had offended some terrifying figure. The infuriated director announced he was dead right away and hid away from the public. Nothing was heard about him since then. Subsequently, they found out that Yang Zhe's family had declared bankruptcy, were now beggars. No. He staggered back unconsciously and his eyes were dead. "Both of you have offended the same person. However, as compared to the previous case, forget it. Regardless, your future is over. Director Wang didn't explain further. He looked at the few people around him and started calling up more people. Xiao Xian, I had not expected your name to be able to command such fear and respect. When they entered the show, Lan Qingyue smiled radiantly as she spoke to Wang Xian. She could recognize some of those middle-aged men. All of them were huge characters that could match her Lan family. As long as the 9 Cauldron worlds have not descended into the world, no force is a match for ours in the country. They are naturally fearful of me. Wang Xian chuckled. After experiencing the cleansing of the underworld, he naturally knew his standing within the underworld in all of China. I wonder what changes the people from those worlds will bring to the country. Will there be chaos and riots? Sun Lingxiu pondered before asking. I don't know. However, each Cauldron world has approximately 10 million people. All of them together will add at least 100 million to the population. There will probably be huge changes to China, said Wang Xian. Other than the huge population, almost everyone in the 9 Cauldrons worlds practiced martial arts. At that time, the setting of the underworld would change completely. In fact, even the lands of the country would experience major changes. Besides that, the descent of the 9 Cauldrons to the real world would bring about a terrifying impact. That was that the 9 Cauldrons would stabilize and ensure the stability of the country. When the 9 Cauldrons stabilized all of China, spiritual energy would be greatly increased. The land of China would gather spiritual qi from the entire earth. At that time, the entire earth would be affected. No one knew the changes this would bring to the other countries and regions. The future was filled with uncertainties. There was a high probability that a world of ancient martial arts would slowly descend into the world. Just as Wang Xian was thinking, the Victoria's Secret fashion show had started and beautiful models started their walk. Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue and the other girls pointed at the beautiful girls on stage while commenting. They were commenting on their clothing and they were extremely excited about it. Wang Xian chuckled and watched with excitement. The faces of Western girls can't be compared with Ajaya and the girls. Ajaya's figure is overwhelmingly better. In the aspect of facial features, Qingyue, Lingxiu and the rest are miles ahead. After seeing a dozen odd beautiful girls, Wang Xian's interest level declined. Ordinary people can't be compared with martial artists. It is especially so for a powerful martial artist like Ajaya. Fair and silky skin like a baby and the correct curves at the front and back. The feeling. Hee. Leader, take a look around. Whoever catches your eyes, I'll send her to you tonight. At this moment, Wang Xian heard the voice of a middle-aged man from his side. There was a 50-odd-year-old man beside him. The old man was burly and felt like he was brimming with strength. Hee. The old man squinted his eyes and said, those on the stage are beautiful but those below the stage are even better. As the old man spoke, he turned his head around and faced Lan Qingyue and the girls. Oh. The middle-aged man raised an eyebrow, chuckled sheepishly and said, Leader, leave this to me. I'll definitely send them all to you tonight. The old man nodded his head while playing with his little beard before turning around and leaving with a vile look. With Qingyue, Lingxiu and Ajaya's figures and looks, they are indeed magnets for trouble wherever they go. Wang Xian shook his head gradually. A blue and red light flashed across his eyes as he looked at the middle-aged and old men. Dan realm experts. Wang Xian was taken aback. He squinted his eyes and sank into deep thought. His intentions of putting these two guys to rest had also dissipated gradually. Wang Xian didn't say a word and simply accompanied Xiao Yu, Lan Qingyue and the girls till the end of the show. After the show, the 5 girls pulled Wang Xian along for supper energetically. Supper on the yacht was a unique attraction of the Glacier Coral Island. Each yacht wasn't large and could fit 7 to 8 people. At the same time, each yacht had all kinds of delicacies. The 5 girls wished to have supper out at sea. Thus, Wang Xian rented a small yacht and steered it towards the sea. There were many other yachts around them. Each yacht had several lanterns hanging around, making the scenery of the water's surface extremely beautiful. Wang Xian looked towards the shore and revealed a faint smile. You guys can have your dinner here in a while. I have something to handle. Wang Xian said to the 5 girls. Brother, what's the matter? Xiao Yu looked towards Wang Xian curiously. They must be from some forces of the disordered region. I need to settle some stuff. Chapter 638 Plotting 2. Chapter 638, Plotting 2. The night at Glacier Coral Island was beautiful. Wang Xian and the 5 girls were sitting on the yacht, enjoying the sea breeze and the delicacy. Life was relaxed for them. You girls go ahead. I'll be right back. At this time Wang Xian stood up. Alright, come back soon. Given Xiao Yu and Lan Qingyue's strength, they also sensed that someone who was up to no good was lurking around them. Wang Xian made a move and appeared on the beach. Dragon King, we have caught those people. They are from the Yaofeng wandering group, and their hold-up area is here. Mo Qinglong came to Wang Xian and reported to him under the dim light. Yaofeng wandering group? It looks like they must be the active wandering group in the disordered region. Wang Xian revealed a smile. Let's go to their base. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded and brought him to the center of the island. Several Dragonians around him carried 3 martial artists. Their eyes were wide open, filled with fear as they fixed their eyes on Wang Xian and Mo Qinglong. This is the place. Those 3 martial artists spoke in horror when they arrived at a luxurious manor on the island. Let's go in. Wang Xian did not hide. With a swift movement they entered the manor directly. In the manor there were unknown trees, swimming pools and lawns. Everything looked delicate and exquisite. The entire estate was at least the size of 100 acres, which was incredibly huge. He swept around with his blue and red radiance before he walked to the center. Who's there? Who dares to barge in? Some of the martial artists cast their cold glances over at Wang Xian as soon as he walked into the manor. Bam! Before they could see any images, they were already attacked and collapsed on the ground. Too weak. Only those that are at least half-step to Dan realm are useful. They will consume a lot of elixir pills to enhance their strength if they are too weak. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and walked straight in. The group of people swaggered in boldly. Someone broke in. When he came to the central building he heard a cold bellow. Without Wang Xian making any move, the had Dragonians already stunned them on the ground. Take control of the place. Mo Qinglong ordered the Dragonians. Who are you guys? Oh no, their strength is overpowering. Run. When Wang Xian came in, all of the people inside had already fallen to the ground. Wang Xian took a glance. The middle-aged man and the burly old man who they'd met at the show that night had already fallen on their knees in fear. Seeing Wang Xian's arrival, they were staring blankly at him. We met before, didn't we? Wang Xian looked at the 2 men with a smile on his face. He sat on the sofa as though some member of the mafia in the movie as he looked at the middle-aged and the old man. You. Both of them recognized Wang Xian and were startled. This was the young man who had sat beside them today. Never did they expect they'd be easily captured by him. Tell me more about the disordered region, said Wang Xian, looking at the duo with a beaming face. Who are you? The old man growled as he stared at Wang Xian in trepidation. Speak up. Wang Xian flicked his finger and a water sword stabbed the arm of that old man. The old man let out a shriek in horror. It was not only the physical pain that caused him to let out a scream, but it was also the terror that came from the strength of the young man. The fact that he was also a Dan realm expert and yet he could not even see his moves and was injured in an instant. I don't have much patience. Wang Xian stared at the old man without any expression. I will speak. The old man's forehead was covered in cold sweat as he spoke. A total of 16 forces are active in the disordered region, and Yaofeng is one of them. The strongest one is the Devil Kid, an extremely strong faction in Asia. They have several budding realm experts, and the leader of the Devil Kid is known as the Lord of the Disordered Region. Next is Heavenly Spirits who came from Japan. Their strength is also compelling. The old man quivered as he introduced them to Wang Xian one by one. Lord of the Disordered Region? Does the Disordered Region have a master? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and asked this of the old man with his curiosity piqued. No. There is an island in the middle of the disordered region where major various wandering groups trade. That area is controlled by Devil Kid, and they maintain the order over there. Hence, the leader of Devil Kid proclaimed himself the Lord of the disordered region, and no one dared to retort. The old man answered quickly. Is that so? How strong is the Devil Kid? Asked Wang Xian curiously. There are at least 5 budding realm experts and we don't know about the rest, the old man answered with cold sweat breaking out. How strong is Yaofeng then? Asked Wang Xian while staring at the old man. Not strong. In your eyes we're probably ants to you. We have only 2 Dan realm experts, said the old man with trepidation. Do you have a map of the disordered region, a detailed one? Wang Xian stared at him. Yes, as long as you let me live. I will. You don't have the right to bargain. Stop testing my patience. Wang Xian stared at the old man impassively, swarming him with oppression. Yes, ahem, yes. The old man felt like the sky had fallen as he nodded in consternation. I'll get it for you. Wang Xian sank back in his chair, gazing at the red wine with some interest on his face. Oh, there is spiritual energy in it. Wang Xian poured a cup and was surprised by what he saw. This is the pure blood coral red wine. It's very precious. The middle-aged man answered his inquiry on the floor, looking fearful. Here for you. Soon, the old man held a few sheets of paper and handed them over with respect. Wang Xian took it with eyes glistening with radiance. Let's go. Wang Xian took the sheets of paper and headed outside. When he was at the door, he halted. I wanted to take you in as my subordinate. Unfortunately, you harbored thoughts that you shouldn't have. What? The old man widened his eyes when he heard Wang Xian as an illusory sword penetrated his body instantly. This, you. The old man's eyes were wide and round, filled with despair and disbelief. We have too few Dragonians in Dragon Sect. Recruiting men from the disordered region and wandering group is not a bad choice. Wang Xian recalled the records stated on the sheets of paper as he pondered. He wanted to boost the strength of the Dragon Palace and Dragon Sect greatly in the shortest possible time so as to cope with the upcoming change in the world. The wandering groups in the disordered region were just in line with his requirements. Chapter 639 Manta Ray and the Pure Blood Coral. Chapter 639 Manta Ray and the Pure Blood Coral. Are you done with your chores? When Wang Xian returned to the beach, Xiao Yu and the girls were still eating. Seeing Wang Xian approaching, they questioned him with smiles. Yeah. I have to head to the disordered region tomorrow. You girls can remain here and enjoy yourselves. Wang Xian sat down and spoke to them with a smile. All right, Xiao Xian. If there's anything you require our help with, you can just inform us. We aren't weak at all right now. Lan Qingyue replied to Wang Xian with a smile. All right. But I really don't need your help at this moment. Wang Xian chuckled. The girls were indeed not weak at the moment. Xiao Yu, Elder Fang and Sun Lingxiu would be able to reach the budding realm soon. As for Lan Qingyue, she had reached the budding realm some time ago. The first Kuan she bred, Xiaolan, had also reached level 12. The budding realm Xiaolan had reached a size of over 70 meters. On Earth, it was definitely a terrifyingly huge creature. Moreover, based on what Lan Qingyue had told him, Xiaolan would be able to reach level 13 within half a year. When Xiaolan reached level 13, its size could reach 200 meters. Moreover, it would be able to fly in the sky. Its strength would definitely rank among the pinnacle among those in the same realm. Wang Xian accompanied them till 12 a.m. before the group headed back to the hotel. On the next day, Wang Xian led the group of Dragonians and steered towards the disordered region. As compared to other areas, the disordered region looked a little gloomier. It was especially so for the areas under the sea. Other areas might have seawater that was blue in color. However, the disordered region was much darker and had terrifying vibes being emitted from the bottom of the sea. Roving Sword, Roving Heavens and the rest are a few hundred miles ahead of us. Wang Xian stood on the yacht and sensed the surroundings. He retrieved the map and instructed, head towards the disordered island straight ahead. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded his head, steered the yacht and moved towards the central location. Around them, several black mountain peaks extended out from the bottom of the sea. The peaks were rugged and looked extremely sharp. The further he proceeded, the more peaks he noticed that were extending out of the waters. One should note that the sea below them could reach a depth of over 3,000 meters. In other words, these protruding peaks were at least 3,000 meters tall. The deeper he moved, the more peaks he saw. In this place, it was impossible for large ships to move through. A mistake would result in the sinking of the entire ship. The grayish mist made the day resemble the night. The sun resembled the moon as it emitted dim light. Bam! Be careful. Suddenly Wang Xian felt a terrifying aura from the bottom of the sea. He was astonished and shouted to remind the group. Boom! At this moment, followed by a huge explosion, the front of the yacht exploded. A creepy creature extended its wings and charged towards them. Manta Ray, level 10. Extractable Dragon Energy. 112,342. It's an inborn level marine creature. Seeing the manta ray charging towards him, Wang Xian was astonished. This level 10 manta ray was roughly 6 to 7 meters in size. Its entire body was pitch black and emitted dense devilish aura. It resembled a bat and had 2 fluid wings. At the edge of each wing was a razor-sharp bone spike. The manta ray had a horrifying mouthpart and teeth that resembled a fork that was protruding out of its mouth. It also had a black tail that was roughly 3 meters long. The manta ray jumped out of the water surface and charged towards them at a terrifying speed by flying. You must be courting death. A cold light flashed in the eyes of Mo Qinglong. He pulled back his arm and transformed his arm into a terrifying dragon claw before swinging it towards the manta ray. GGGGG. The manta ray cried out pitifully as it was caught. Ah, what a strong skeletal structure. Mo Qinglong was surprised. Flexing his arm, the manta ray was killed on the spot. Swish swish swish. At this moment, more than a dozen additional manta rays flew out of the sea. They extended both of their wings and used their razor-sharp mouthparts and tails to attack Wang Xian and the Dragonians. Wang Xian waved his arm and the manta rays flew towards him. Bam, bam, bam. The dozen-odd manta rays were killed right away and were put into Wang Xian's space ring. The disordered region is indeed something. While steering on the sea, we can even encounter terrifying marine creatures flying out from the sea. This area isn't a place where the weak could survive. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he stared into the water below him. Wherever there were strong marine creatures, they would likely have spiritual items around. Wang Xian leaped into the sky and dove right into the water. Level 11 Manta Ray. Just as he dived into the water, Wang Xian saw a level 11 Manta Ray right away. Its body was roughly 10 meters long and was emitting terrifying vibes. It flapped its wings while releasing streams of devilish aura. At this juncture, that manta ray was staring in the direction directly below him. It's not surprising now that the sea appears so dark. There are probably a large number of manta rays within the disordered region. Wang Xian reached forward and the water before him seemed to be held in his palms. Rumble. Water swords appeared out of thin air and shot towards the level 11 manta ray. With Wang Xian's current ability to manipulate water energy, killing creatures that were weaker than him was like a walk in the park. After putting the corpse of the manta ray into his space ring, Wang Xian dived deeper in. There was an underwater mountain below him. The mountain wasn't very tall and Wang Xian saw a tuft of spiritual grass that emitted a blood-red glow in the middle of the mountain. Wang Xian squinted his eyes, dived down and appeared beside it in an instant. Pure blood coral. This is a tuft of pure blood coral. Wang Xian observed it in shock. This wasn't an ordinary coral or ordinary spiritual grass. The bottom of this pure blood coral was connected to various terrifying roots. There were countless mouthparts densely packed on these roots, making it look exceptionally grotesque. It had its own life. The pure blood coral was located in the middle of its 11 roots extension and was emitting vast energy. Is this the pure blood coral? It feeds on the fresh blood of living creatures to form the pure blood corals, while the living creatures can also greatly enhance their strength by devouring it. Tempt and be tempted. Wang Xian mumbled to himself. He waved his hands and a stream of water grabbed towards the pure blood coral. Swish swish swish. Those roots extensions with revolting mouthparts instantly surrounded the pure blood coral. Wang Xian waved his arm and 5 spiritual swords appeared around his hand before slashing those roots extensions. Wang Xian severed the roots extension and plucked out the pure blood coral with his hand. Dense energy was emitted in the instant. Pure blood coral, level 6. Extractable dragon energy, 18,621. It's still alive. Holding the pure blood coral in his hand, Wang Xian was astonished to find it still alive. Those roots extensions of the blood coral were still alive. Gradually it grew palm-sized roots. This is? If we don't remove the roots completely, it will continue to grow longer, hunt for living creatures to form new pure blood coral, and grow stronger. This is truly magical. Wang Xian was slightly impressed. Given some time, it would be able to form another pure blood coral with immense energy. In that case, there will definitely be lots of pure blood corals in this place. This is indeed a treasure ground. The contests of marine animals are just like the contests between humans. Chapter 640 People from Xia Cauldron World. Chapter 640 People from Xia Cauldron World. Wow. After he swam out from the bottom of the sea, Wang Xian noticed the yacht in ruin. A hole was found at the head of the yacht, but no water seeped in. Sailing with it was still possible. The ship from Century Ghost Group that we saw was made from level 7 materials. When there's a chance, I shall look for some material to build my own. Wang Xian pondered to himself as he looked ahead while the yacht continued to move on. Someone is here. After traveling for more than 10 kilometers, a ship appeared in their sight. The opposite ship was apparently traveling in the same direction as they were. This is interesting. I've realized this world is rather interesting. Ah. At this moment, 15 men stood on the deck of that boat. They looked into the distance, exhibiting pride on their faces from the bottom of their hearts. Out of the 10 men, the eldest was in his 40s while another 5 ladies looked like in their 30s. They spoke Mandarin, wearing peculiar clothing with long hair regardless of gender. Beside them stood 8 ladies looking frightful in their swimsuits. These 10-odd people exuded a faint demonic aura, which made them look devilish. Tisk, look at this babe. Even though her look is average, the way that she is dressed is rather common in the real world. Such a beautiful world. For the past 400 years, no one from the Xia Cauldron world entered the real world. 400 years. I was almost bored to death in that little world. A middle-aged man wet his lips as he looked ahead with an evil charm. We must enjoy ourselves in this world these next few days. Despite the air over here being filthy, it's more exciting and interesting. A young man reached out his hand and hugged a babe in his arm, caressing the girl all over with excitement. After our world descends into the real world, we can enjoy ourselves again. Sect leader did not deplete so much of his energy just so that we could come out and have fun. A middle-aged man who stood in the middle said to them plainly, "Senior brother, aren't we doing serious business now? Currently, our strength in that world was too weak since all the resources were exhausted." A young man said with a smile. The Xia Cauldron world was, after all, too small. Even though this world is lacking in spiritual energy, there are many locations with hidden resources. Some of it was even better than our world. The middle-aged man in the center surveyed the surroundings as he spoke slowly. The ocean indeed. Those creatures in the sea were already an incredible resource. We must get hold of more information on this world before other worlds descend into the real world. We should occupy some treasure grounds first. This place is comparable to our resources in Xia world a few thousand years ago. If we can take control of the disordered region, this will mark a great achievement for the Immortal sect. Since the remaining worlds have not descended, it'll be a piece of cake to control this place. Everyone revealed strong confidence with their lips curled slightly. One of them looked behind and said, "Senior brother, there's a ship behind us. Should we take them down first?" "Don't bother. Wait till it gets here and we'll take it down once and for all." The middle-aged man in the center swept a glance behind him and remarked coldly, "You're right. We don't have to waste our time on this." A young man chuckled as he sat in a chair leisurely and beckoned to the babes beside him. Wang Xian withdrew his gaze from that boat and looked ahead. Over there, the island slowly came into sight. It was like a ghost island within this pitch-black sea region. The yacht was moving fast. When Wang Xian arrived, he saw the ship that was ahead of him just now had already docked at the shore. More than a dozen ships surrounded that boat. Disordered Island. Wang Xian looked ahead and spotted a gigantic boulder erected with a couple of letters on it. Beside the boulder stood 2 ferocious-looking middle-aged men, baring their arms and staring at them with cold gazes. They must be the men from Devil Kid. Wang Xian jumped off from his boat while over 30 Dragonians and Mo Qinglong followed behind him. "You may enter, but don't make trouble. Otherwise we'll kill you for sure." 2 middle-aged men from Devil Kid reminded the gang coldly at the entrance. Wang Xian nodded nonchalantly as he stalked straight in. The not-so-huge island spanned a radius of 5 kilometers with many places filled with rugged rocks. There were no trees on the island, which made it even bleaker. Conversations were heard from the island. Wang Xian walked along a road and saw luxurious houses at the end of the road. There were 5,000 people in the houses and some of them were making trades. Men from Devil Kid were constantly patrolling around the area. Wang Xian went in with eyes flickering with blue and red radiance. He looked around the place where the trading was taking place. 48 half-step to Dan Realm experts, 15 Dan Realm experts, and only 2 budding realm experts. Not bad for the disordered region. There are many experts over here. Given such a strength, it's compelling for international standards. Wang Xian corked his lips. Taking in this group of people would significantly enhance the strength of Dragon Sect. Her? At this moment, Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he stared at a group of 15 standing by the side. 15 people were standing there, looking ahead without any concern. They were surveying everyone with arrogance. 15 budding realm experts. 15 of them. Wang Xian was taken aback and surprised as that strength was terrifying. All of them have long hair, even the guys. Their clothes look similar to those of Yongchang World. Wang Xian's eyes were beaming with radiance. Ancient clothes with long hair. Could it be? A tinge of seriousness welled in Wang Xian's eyes. Could it be that one of the 9 Cauldron worlds had descended into the real world? What are they doing here? Wang Xian furrowed his brows, but soon he relaxed them. Regardless of whether they have descended into the real world, I should subdue this place first. Control the entire disordered region and enhance the strength of Dragon Palace and Dragon Sect. Wang Xian drew his lips and walked forward, looking at each of the trading shops. Senior brother, there are only 2 budding realm experts here. When are we striking? A young man asked the senior brother in the center with a smile. Didn't a fellow say there will be several large wandering groups here for trading too? Let's wait until they are here. Be patient. In the past, all the forces had to bow down to us wherever we were near the various immortal sects. Back then, only the experts from Europe could match up against us. Now it's time for them to succumb to us. The middle-aged man looked around and commented plainly. All of them shall bow down to us. Wait till our master's arrival. Chapter 641 Merman. Chapter 641, Merman. Everyone has to surrender. Thinking back to the times when Wuxia was in its most glorious days, they had swept through vast lands easily. 1. What had they relied on to subdue the masses within the 4 seas? 2. Peerless experts and the powerful and prosperous immortal sects and army. When the 9 cauldrons stabilized the nation's fortune, all the tribes and dynasties within Asia had to pay pilgrimage to them. The underworld in the past was incomparably powerful and prosperous. It was only when experts from various immortal sects privatized the 9 cauldrons for their vested interests that the fortune of the nation started to dissipate, eventually leading to the decline of the nation. Although the times had changed, the malicious and amoral immortal sects beyond the region would definitely be extinguished. The 15 disciples from Xia Cauldron looked across the group of people with contempt. In their eyes, they were the only rulers. There's someone by the name of the Dragon King that has appeared in the underworld. Rumor has it that he's a demon-like talent and that he vanquished countless experts of the underworld. It's a shame that we aren't aware of his current location. A lady played with the mobile phone in her hands with great interest while speaking with a smile. If we happen to meet him, we can make him our subordinate and instruct him to do as we wish, another young man standing by the side joked. This Dragon King is indeed a talent in the underworld. At this moment, the entire underworld sees him as their ruler. If we could subdue him, he would be greatly useful to us. That's completely pointless. Looking at the current underworld, I could have slaughtered all the martial artists in the underworld myself. He's just an ordinary man who has been enshrined as a legendary person. If we really encounter him, he would at most be at the budding realm. He might not even be a match for me. We wouldn't have much use for him. The group was conversing and commenting on the current underworld with a sense of superiority. Wang Xian glanced across the people before him before entering the trading grounds ahead of him. The entire trading grounds only had roughly 50 to 60 stalls. Besides these stalls, some people had laid their items on the ground for sale. Wang Xian looked around him and saw weapons, spiritual grass, the flesh of the underwater manta rays, and many other things with prices indicated clearly. These items would be really precious if brought to the underworld. However, they weren't of high value to Wang Xian. While Wang Xian led Mo Qinglong and the rest around each store, the surrounding people were also observing the group. Some of them squinted their eyes and light flashed across their eyes. No one knew what they were thinking about. The Lord of the disordered region is here. The people from heavenly spirits are here too. The leaders and heads of various prominent wandering groups are here. I wonder what kinds of treasures there are this time? At this moment, raucous discussions could be heard from the surroundings. Wang Xian turned around and looked to the entrance. Various martial artists emitting brutal and powerful aura were walking in his direction without any emotions on their faces. The first group of roughly 30 people had a myriad of tattoos on their faces, making them look exceptionally hideous and frightening. Among the group of 30 people, there were a dozen odd inborn-level experts. They were led by an old man with a tattoo of a devil on his face. Budding realm expert. Several emaciated dwarves followed closely behind. Although they were at most 70 to 80 centimeters tall, the aura emanating from them made it impossible for anyone to belittle them. All of them were carrying black truncheons or black samurai swords. Among them, 2 of them were carrying a cage covered in black cloth. No one could tell what was inside it. Behind this group, various experts from various groups were also entering the trading grounds. The groups of people could be easily differentiated. Judging from the auras they were emanating, none of them would be pushovers. Quite a number of people are here today. The old man with a devil tattoo on his face looked eerily across everyone around him. When he saw the foreign faces of Wuxia and his group, he commented plainly, "Get the trade started as soon as possible. Your mother still have things to handle." Just as the old man finished his words, a rather plump lady with a pitch-black poisonous snake in her hands remarked impatiently. The moment she completed her remarks, she waved her arm and the boxes in the hands of the middle-aged men behind her opened directly. "Pure blood corals, cubs of manta rays, the blood of inborn experts. Is there anyone who wishes to make a trade? We are looking to exchange these for treasures and spiritual stones." Decisive. Buying pure blood corals and teeth of a Dan realm manta ray with spiritual stones. Devil's blood pill, 3 pieces of spiritual equipment. Various wandering groups took out their treasures and laid them out on the ground. Those who were around started moving towards the stall gradually with their eyes fixed fervently on various treasures. Although the items available for trade are great, they are similar to the past. Our heavenly spirits has brought something great today. An emaciated old dwarf looked across the crowd like a sinister snake. He smiled creepily before continuing, "Let's start the trade with what I have." Swish. As he spoke, he waved his arm and sent the cage behind him onto a platform in the center. "If it isn't something great, don't waste our time." The old man with a devil tattoo on his face remarked plainly. You will know once you see it." The old dwarf moved his arm and the black cloth was flipped aside, revealing the contents of the cage. This is? The surrounding crowd was astonished and had their eyes locked intensely on the creature in the cage. "Is this a merman?" An old man with a strange outfit exclaimed in surprise after seeing what was in the cage. "That's right. This is a merman we caught alive by chance." The dwarf answered with a smile. "A merman? This isn't even a beautiful mermaid. What's the use of getting it?" A middle-aged man asked with contempt. "Its skin is a great treasure. While wearing it, one can swim freely under the water. Why don't you tell us what use it would have?" The dwarf stared at the middle-aged man and answered in a creepy tone. The explanation from the old dwarf instantly aroused the interest of the crowd. Even level 10 spiritual equipment wouldn't allow them to swim freely under the water. "What are you looking to exchange it for?" the plump lady who spoke at the beginning asked with her eyes beaming with excitement. "Blood. The fresh blood of manta rays or inborn experts." The old dwarf licked his lips as he spoke. "Merman?" Wuxia, who had just been standing by the side as a spectator, was astonished to see the items being put up for trade in the center of the trading grounds. A merman was a marine creature that had existed in the myths. He had not expected that he'd encounter one in this place today. However, the surrounding crowd didn't seem to be as surprised. It would appear that they had seen countless other strange and unique creatures from the sea. "We are taking this merman." At this moment, a voice reverberated throughout the crowd. A dozen odd people entered the trading grounds. The surrounding crowd stared harshly at them as they squeezed past them forcefully. However, members of various wandering groups paled upon sensing the terrifying auras being emitted by the 2 young men standing at the edge of the group. They instantly moved aside and opened up a path. What an unexpected encounter. I would have never expected myself to find a merman today. Moreover, it's a merman who has not awakened. This is really uncommon. The old man in the middle of this group stared fervently at the merman on the center stage with his eyes beaming with excitement. Chapter 642, Kneel Down and Surrender, 1. Chapter 642, Kneel Down and Surrender, 1. Senior brother, this merman is like the leader of the peculiar marine creatures. After awakening, it might be a peerless talent mermaid that could control water current. That's right. This foreign creature exists only in the vast ocean and was recorded as the spiritual beast. It's my first time seeing this. I guess our luck is good. The middle-aged man stared fervently at the merman and chuckled. If we gave it good training, it would be a huge support to us. Unfortunately, none of us practice water-attributed skills. Her? The surrounding crowd that overheard their conversations revealed a surprised look. Upon hearing what they said, the old dwarf's eyes twinkled as he squinted and looked at them. How much blood are you exchanging it for? Idiot. The plump lady beside swept at the group of 15. You raised the price on your own. What a fool. Bro, we, Raging Sea Wandering Group, practice water-attributed skills. This creature seems to have more affinity with us. I wonder what's so special about this merman? An old man holding onto a long sword asked with a beaming face while a water snake was coiling itself on his long sword. The middle-aged man slowly cast his gaze on the plump lady. With a broad smile, he stared at the merman in the middle. A merman is priceless to water practitioners. But I want it. How much blood do you want? The middle-aged man asked the old dwarf plainly. Dumbass. What a fool to say this. Isn't this giving a chance to heavenly spirits for them to quote any high price they want? Which wandering group does this bunch of people belong to? I have never seen them before? Newcomers perhaps. But given this intelligence, they can't live for long. Upon hearing what the middle-aged man said, everyone was watching with scornful looks. Such a creature is of course priceless. I want the fresh blood of 50 inborn-level creatures or 5 Dan realm, or a budding realm expert. Ah. The old dwarf laughed out loud at the middle-aged man's words. Heavenly spirits, you really dare to quote such a high price. The old person with the long sword spoke with a darkened expression when he heard what the old dwarf said. Haha, it's a divine creature. Of course, the value is relatively higher. The old dwarf looked at the middle-aged man and asked him passively, if you can afford it, we can deal immediately. No problem. The middle-aged man nodded with an unconcerned look. His words brightened the mood of the old dwarf who was still slightly upset for quoting the low price. Everyone just looked at the middle-aged man with astonishment. A budding realm expert is sufficient? A young man beside the middle-aged man murmured. As soon as his voice stopped, he vanished into thin air. Just then, a horrifying scream that lasted for 1 second was heard before it came to an abrupt end. Budding realm blood. For you. While all the surrounding martial artists of the wandering groups were watching, that young man lifted the head of that plump woman and tossed it to the old dwarf. You. Bam bam bam. All the people staggered back in trepidation as they fixed their eyes on the 15 men with a mixed expression. Hey, what are you trying to do? The old dwarf glared at the gang with vigilance and fear. Who are you people? How dare you create trouble on the disordered island? The old man who had a tattooed face held out his weapon and stared at the middle-aged man with wariness. All the surrounding experts of the wandering groups fixed their cold gazes at the group, exuding daunting aura from their bodies. There was solemnness in their eyes. That plump lady who had spoken just now was a strong budding realm expert. Her strength was not weaker than the leader of Devil Kid. Yet she was beheaded in a split second. There were 8 budding realm experts on the spot. Ha ha. The middle-aged man let out a clap of hysterical laughter. What are we trying to do? We are here to subdue all of you. Be honored that you can be recruited under Devil Sealing Immortal Sect. TSK, surrender to us now. The young man who just struck was looking thrilled. As he swept his gaze around all the people, domineering demonic aura rose from his body. Surrender. Get down on your knees. 2 young men exclaimed together with their demonic aura surging frantically. Subsequently, the demonic aura rushed to the air, looming over the entire area with their demonic oppression. The domineering oppression coagulated to form many devil's doors with one exceptionally huge one in the air. On those devil's doors were huge malevolent demon patterns. The area with a radius of a few kilometers was cordoned off by the demonic aura. What? In the face of such sudden change, all the wandering groups were shivering in their boots. What compelling strength. There are 15 budding realm experts. The leader of Devil Kid, known as the Lord of the Disordered Region, was slightly trembling with the weapon in his hand. When that young man beheaded the snake lady in an instant, he was already taken aback by surprise. She was a budding realm expert. Killing her without a moment of pause despite it being a surprise strike already indicated the domineering skill of the young man. However, the remaining 14 were equally daunting. Bang bang bang. Those martial artists who were below the Dan realm had a drastic change in their expressions. Their bodies seemed to be being suppressed by mountains. All of them gritted their teeth as they knelt down with eyes full of consternation. You have 10 seconds. If you do not kneel and surrender, you'll suffer the same consequences as that plump lady. Of course, you guys can also challenge us, said the middle-aged man with a broad smile as he walked to the center and lifted his chin to look at all the people. Gulp. All the wandering groups were aghast as they looked around with fear. Who are you people? The leader of Devil Kid asked, quivering slightly. You have no right to ask me. The middle-aged man smiled as he stared at Devil Kid. 5 more seconds. As he spoke, he overlooked all the people. Ka ka ka. At this time, the devil's doors slowly opened with a ferocious demonic shadow coagulating into black spears. What kind of attack is this? How terrifying. The old dwarf from Heavenly Spirits was aghast as he sensed the ferocity in the air. His body trembled as he slowly went down on his knees. Bam. Upon seeing their leader kneeling down, the rest of the members from Heavenly Spirits followed suit. The demonic oppression was unstoppable. Bam bam bam. Since the leader of Heavenly Spirits knelt down, the leader of Devil Kid went down on his knees looking dreadful. These 15 daunting budding realm experts were not people who they could go against. The remaining leaders of the wandering groups all fell on their knees with quivering bodies. The demonic oppression was unstoppable. Hee hee. Watching them falling on their knees, one by one, the middle-aged man revealed a faint smile. Eventually he looked at the 30-odd people who were standing by the side. There are really people who aren't afraid of death. This is great. I can use all of your blood to nurture the Merman. Chapter 643 Kneel Down and Surrender, 2. Chapter 643, Kneel Down and Surrender, 2. There are really people who aren't afraid of death. This is great. I can use all of your blood to nurture the Merman, said the middle-aged man. He wore a sinister smile, lifted his arm gradually and repositioned the terrifying black spears in the sky. Wang Xian lifted his head and stared at the middle-aged man and the 14 people that accompanied him. He asked in an emotionless tone, 9 Cauldron worlds? Which world are you guys from? The middle-aged man who was raising his arm stiffened. He stared at Wang Xian and surprise gleamed in his eyes. Who are you? The middle-aged man lowered his arm gradually while observing Wang Xian and the group of Dragonians behind him. I'm the Dragon King from the Dragon Sect. Wang Xian answered the middle-aged man before questioning him again. May I ask which world you guys are from? How did you know about the 9 Cauldron worlds? The middle-aged man didn't answer Wang Xian once again. Instead, he looked at Wang Xian with amusement and continued, Dragon King? I heard about you some time ago. You are pretty good. Seeing the middle-aged man wasn't answering him and acting haughtily, Wang Xian found it hilarious. So you are the Dragon King. You are indeed as young as the rumors claimed. You even have over 30 Dan Realm experts as subordinates. That isn't too shabby. Around him, the remaining dozen-odd experts of the Devil Sealing Immortal sect were observing Wang Xian and were a little surprised by the strength he possessed. You are pretty strong. It would appear that I have underestimated you. Surrender to us and we won't be stingy with our rewards to you once our Devil Sealing Immortal sect of the Xia Cauldron descends into the real world. A middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian, nodded his head with satisfaction and commented. What kind of rewards? Wang Xian looked at them with interest while the corner of his lips curved up slightly. Since you know that the 9 Cauldron worlds will be descending into the real world soon, you would have expected a major contest soon. Do you think you could rely on your own strength to gain a foothold in the near future? Only by surrendering to us would you gain the qualification to live on. Otherwise, you are just like a mud skipper in a small pond of mud in our eyes, let alone being called the Dragon King. The middle-aged man standing in the middle of the group stared at Wang Xian and continued his mockeries. Become the subordinate of our Devil Sealing Immortal sect and you will at least have a backing. You guys are truly interesting. Upon hearing the middle-aged man, Wang Xian's face was filled with contempt. Xia Cauldron world? Devil Sealing Immortal sect? Ordering me to submit to you and be your subordinates? You guys are truly daring to dream. Hee, senior brother. It seems like this brat is indignant to the suggestion. Let's just kill him directly. A young man was staring at Wang Xian and unhappy about how Wang Xian had reacted as he spoke up with discontent. If he has 30 Danrim experts as subordinates, he must at least be at the budding realm. Coupled with his status in the underworld, he's a little more useful than the rest. Let's keep him alive. A lady suggested in an emotionless tone. He doesn't know where he stands. Let me teach him an unforgettable lesson first. A young man remarked with a smile as a dagger appeared in his hand suddenly. He moved and a shadow flashed across instantly. That incomparable and terrifying speed was on display once again. Moments ago, the young man had beheaded the plump lady with his astonishing speed. One could easily tell how fast the group was. The middle-aged man in the middle did not attempt to stop the young man despite seeing him striking. Instead, he simply remarked, "Just teach him a lesson and don't go too far." "Ah, all right, senior brother." The voices came from different directions. Looking at the young man who was charging towards him, deep contempt flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Whoa! Black light shot out from the young man's eyes and devilish shadows appeared all around Wang Xian. Weapons from all directions were launched towards him. However, the young man's body stiffened after seeing his dagger plunge into Wang Xian's body. With the dagger still in Wang Xian's body, streams of water flowed out from the wound. "All of you kneel down now and surrender." At this moment, Wang Xian's chilling voice reverberated across. Soon after, to the astonishment of everyone in Devil Sealing Immortal sect, the head of the young man flew towards them. Bam bam. The human head fell beside the middle-aged man standing in the middle, rolled ahead and caused knocking sounds. "Junior brother May." The middle-aged man was astonished and shouted loudly. Rumble. At this moment, fear-inducing sounds of water flowing resounded. Wong wong. Soon after, to the horror of the group, they noticed that the sky had completely changed. The blue water streams were able to destroy the devilish auras that were surrounding them. The gigantic and terrifying devil's doors started cracking and the entire sky was dyed blue. Terrifying water swords formed in the sky, emitting spine-chilling penetrative force. Wait, what kind of terrifying existence have we encountered? At this moment, the crowd from the disordered region who had gone down on their knees, were shivering in fear. What kind of terrifying existence had they encountered? They wouldn't be a match for any of the 15 people. And yet, there was someone even more terrifying here who suppressed the group of 15 alone. Listening to their conversation, they felt that this world seemed to have changed. The disordered region was a relatively more well-known place in Asia. Even the denominations in the international stage wouldn't dare to interfere recklessly. The truth was that those in the disordered region were all people who weren't concerned about life and death anymore. They were people who had offended the denominations, terrified groups, or found it hard to survive in other places. Even budding realm experts, who were the leaders of these wandering groups, were no exceptions. Otherwise, no one would willingly be in this terrifying sea region. Although they could get precious treasures, this place was the sea after all and belonged to the marine creatures in the sea. Incidents where even budding realm experts died weren't completely an exception. If these budding realm experts were to return to normal society, they would enjoy endless wealth. When placed in denominations, they would also be one of the most elite existences. Considering the current environment, the formation of wandering groups by experts who were more extreme was generally fostered. The wandering groups were referred to as wandering dogs by the denominations and other major forces worldwide to show how crazy they could be. And now, the wandering groups of the disordered region, which were known throughout the world, were wanted by two groups of people to be their subordinates. While undoubtedly feeling anger, they were more frightened. The strength that these people had demonstrated was simply too strong. Their strength had even instilled fear into these maniacs. What? The remaining 14 experts were shocked to see their devilish auras and devil's doors shattered by the terrifying streams of water. "I'll give you 10 seconds to go on your knees or you will end up like him." Wang Xian took several steps forward and faced them with a gentle smile. "You. Impossible. How can you possibly be so strong? How can this be?" The group from Devil Sealing Immortal sect was shivering in fear. They lifted their heads and saw a clear blue sky that was shrouded in water and the countless terrifying water swords. Their pupils constricted unconsciously. "You have 5 more seconds." Wang Xian smiled faintly, creating a strong contrast with the exceptional bitter faces of the group from Devil-Sealing Immortal sect. At the same time, they felt indescribable fear as they stared at Wang Xian. It was just like moments ago when they put on the same front with the same might while ordering all the wandering groups to get on their knees. It was just that they were now on the receiving end. On their knees and surrendering. Chapter 644, Submission. Chapter 644, Submission. The people from the Devil-Sealing Immortal sect had a drastic mixed expression as they fixed their eyes hard on Wang Xian. He had asked them, the people from Cauldron, to kneel. The feeling and humiliation of asking them to kneel seemed like they were some beggars or slaves. They had come to this real world and they had been overlooking the people in this world just like ants. Now the ant who they had always regarded as such was asking them to kneel. Prideful as they were, they found it hard to accept it. Sensing the frightful water energy around them, the middle-aged man in the center bellowed at Wang Xian with fear in his eyes, "You're half-step to immortal, or... ants, your time is up." Wang Xian looked at the 14 people who were altering their facial expressions. With coldness flashing in Wang Xian's eyes, he placed his palms together while the water swords in the air whizzed downward. "How dare you? We're the disciples of Devil-Sealing Immortal sect. If you dare to kill us, our Immortal sect will not let you off when the Cauldron descends into the real world. The Immortal experts will be after you." Trepidation flashed in a young man's eyes as he exclaimed loudly in a harsh tone. "Don't think too highly of yourself. You guys aren't Immortals." Wang Xian swept a cold gaze at that young man while the daunting water swords in the air exploded into endless streams of water swords sweeping into their faces. "Kill?" The middle-aged man was horrified as he let out a loud roar. "I'll make you kneel today." A hint of contempt flashed in Wang Xian's eyes. With a thought, 5 level 12 spiritual swords appeared around them, slashing at the group right away. Given Wang Xian's current strength, killing a budding realm was effortless even in his humanoid state. 5 spiritual swords that were exuding immense water energy struck at them, along with those endless water swords besieging them. "I know." As the spiritual swords whizzed over, a middle-aged lowered his head in fear. Their legs were already separated from their bodies at this moment. "No, I surrender. I will kneel." Sensing the pain from his left leg, the middle-aged man looked down with horror in his eyes as he fell to his knees. His strength was unstoppable. They didn't have the slightest ability to resist it. This struck a deep sense of defeat and fear into them. How could there be such a domineering person in this real world? Everyone was bitter when they thought of the evaluation they'd made of the Dragon King of the Underworld. "I surrender. I surrender." One by one, the experts from Devil-Sealing Immortal sect knelt in consternation as they shouted. "That's right. What were you waiting for?" Wang Xian scorned them nonchalantly before he looked over to the wandering groups. "How about you guys? Needless to say, we surrender. We surrender." The leaders of the wandering groups hurriedly exclaimed at the top of their lungs. They had already submitted themselves to the 15 daunting experts just now. Why would they not surrender now? Get them to explain the situation in Cauldron world. Also, the battle techniques they are cultivating and the application of the demonic aura. These will be of great use to you guys. Wang Xian spoke to Mo Qinglong behind him. "Yes, Dragon King." Mo Qinglong nodded as he headed slowly to the experts of Devil-Sealing Immortal sect, staring at them over their heads. As though God had descended to the world, they were shaking and were left with only despair when they saw Wang Xian. "Speak up." Mo Qinglong commanded them coldly. Looking at Mo Qinglong, the group of people clenched their fists while the middle-aged man in the center began his account with a dreadful look. Wang Xian peered over and walked toward the Merman. "Merman, level 9. A Merman at level 9 is far too weak." Wang Xian sized up the Merman. It was no different from human body size and somewhat took the shape of a human. It was wrapped in a skin that was grim-looking. "What do you mean by the awakening of the Merman?" Wang Xian asked this plainly while his voice was ringing in the ears of the people from Devil-Sealing Immortal sect. They took a deep breath with a serious look. "We're not sure of the specifics. But according to records, mermen are rather mystical creatures in the ocean. They are ugly and weak before they are awakened. After they awake, they possess striking appearances and great talents. A middle-aged man explained it to Wang Xian with a sullen face. Oh, how do we wake them up? Asked Wang Xian curiously. Feed it spiritual grass and flesh. The more well-fed they are, the stronger they will become after awakening. In addition, they will have intelligence and their own inheritance. The middle-aged man continued to answer. I see. Wang Xian nodded gently and turned to the wandering groups. Those who are half-step to Dan realm and above, get over here. Yes, sir. The group of the wandering group's experts quivered before they stood up and humbled themselves before Wang Xian. 8 budding realm, 23 Dan realm, and 50 half-step to Dan realm experts. This is just right to boost the strength of Dragon Sect. Wang Xian exhibited a satisfied look. He waved his palm and drops of blood essence appeared on it. Take this and do not resist. Otherwise you're dead. As Wang Xian spoke emotionlessly, the drops of blood essence hovered over to them. Yes. Upon seeing the golden drops of blood essence, the experts of the wandering groups were having different thoughts. They knew that the outcome would be disastrous if they did not resist it. However, if they did, they would die. They might be maniacs, but none of them wanted to die. Back then, no other denominations could have me controlled. Radiance flickered in one of the leader's eyes as he absorbed the blood essence. Buzz. When the blood essence entered their minds, a scary thought was formed inside them. Their eyes were surging with a hysterical look, staring at Wang Xian passionately. Greetings to the Dragon King. They yelled with 81 wandering groups experts kneeling uniformly before Wang Xian, like passionate believers. This? The group of devil-sealing immortal sect disciples turned around in disbelief as they stared at the fanatic wandering groups. They are being controlled. What kind of means is this to control their minds? The middle-aged man murmured with shock as he looked aghast. Are you going to control us too? The middle-aged man was shocked as he shuddered. They came to this world only to become slaves to someone else in the end. They were not even subordinates but slaves with no minds of their own. All the surrounding members were horrified by what they saw. They lowered their heads in trepidation. Dragon King, we got all the information. About 10 minutes later, Mo Qinglong came to Wang Xian and reported. Okay, since we got what we wanted, then just... Wang Xian looked at those devil-sealing immortal sect people. Are you going to control us too? The experts from devil-sealing immortal sect were terrified. Just kill them all, said Wang Xian indifferently. Chapter 645, Immortal-class creatures. Chapter 645, Immortal-class creatures. In that case you guys can die now. The instant Wang Xian completed his words, the surrounding seawater contracted at a terrifying speed. What? The group from the devil-sealing immortal sect was stunned and fear could be seen on their faces. You went back on your word. The middle-aged man in the middle was furious and roared loudly. Wang Xian stared at them but didn't say a word. The next instant, the surrounding seawater struck towards the group of 14. No. They desperately thought of running, but the seawater was like a swamp and emitted an insanely high temperature. Arg. Blood-curdling cries reverberated and Wang Xian stood by the side silently while watching them. Sigh. It looks like it will be an era of competition in the near future. Even if the era might not be chaotic, the world won't be as peaceful as before. Wang Xian looked at their corpses and heaved a long sigh. High and mighty as though they were immortals looking down on the entire world. This was the attitude that was displayed by the people from the 9 Cauldron worlds and the exemplification of the pride and arrogance from their core. In their worlds they wouldn't have to follow laws and regulations. Everything was dictated by strength. When facing people from other 9 Cauldron worlds, these people might be a little more courteous. However, if they were facing people from the real world, they would definitely have a sense of superiority. Take these dozen-odd people as an example. Despite facing experts of the same realm, they still acted haughtily. It was as though they thought they were immortals from the heavens looking down on the mortals. This mentality would definitely be a huge blow to all people living in the real world. In fact, for most people living in the real world, the descent of the 9 Cauldron worlds might not be a great thing. As he was the strongest expert and leader of the most powerful dragon sect in the underworld, there might be people thinking of subduing him to display their might and strength when the 9 Cauldron worlds descended. Some might even kill him to lift their standing and reputation. If you dare to look down on me and take a high stand, I'll bury you 3 inches below ground. A light flickered across Wang Xian's eyes as he glanced across the corpses. He waved his arm and several screens of water veil surrounded these corpses. In an instant, those corpses had turned into a ball of blood-red essence with immense energy. However, such energy was incomparably violent and hard to digest. Wang Xian threw it towards the Merman. The Merman lifted its head and stared at him without any traces of emotions. Those were eyes that belonged to a wild beast. Wang Xian turned around and looked at the members from the various wandering groups. Under his supervision, the surrounding 4,000 to 5,000 members of the various wandering groups could feel perspiration covering their foreheads as fear gripped them tightly. They were now awaiting Wang Xian's judgment. Kill them. Wang Xian wasn't going to be compassionate to them at all. The hands of this group of people had all been tainted with fresh blood. Recalling his encounter with the Century Ghost previously, Wang Xian did not have the slightest good impression of them. If he didn't require manpower, Wang Xian wouldn't have considered accepting wandering groups from the disordered region as his subordinates. Dragon King, I would suggest using them for breeding pure blood corals. With so many of them, we should be able to breed a large number of pure blood corals. The leader of Devil Kid suggested to Wang Xian. Alright, deal with them as you suggest. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly and looked across the newly accepted Dragonians. Evildoers? This group of people could be considered as those who had committed the most heinous crimes. After consuming the essence blood, they would follow his instructions to the fullest. They would also see Wang Xian as the absolute ruler. However, their initial beliefs and way of doing things wouldn't change. Mo Qinglong and the Dragonians previously weren't great people. However, when compared to the group of people before him, Mo Qinglong and the Dragonians previously were definitely kind. Using evildoers would be like using a cursed sword. I should be able to use them to slay other evildoers. Wang Xian chuckled and wasn't too concerned about their past actions. With him around, this group of people wouldn't be able to come up with tricks. Leader. No, don't. Around them, the crowd of members from the various wandering groups begged for mercy from their leaders. You guys should be grateful that your death will bring some value to the Dragon King. It's totally worth it. One of the leaders of the wandering groups grinned as bloodlust could be seen from his face. Members of the wandering groups weren't bonded by blood whatsoever. Even without Wang Xian, they wouldn't feel any sorrow if their subordinates died. Old Mo, tell me about the situation of Xia Cauldron world. When I'm not around in the future, I'll leave this group of people under your supervision. Wang Xian looked across them before instructing Mo Qinglong. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded his head and continued, Dragon King, the Xia Cauldron is located at the Pingchuan mountain range and spans approximately 1,000 miles. There are 2 immortal sects in the Xia Cauldron world. Rumble. Suddenly the entire island shook violently. From several tens of kilometers away, a terrifying aura shrouded over. Flashes of gold and black light appeared across the sky, making the entire disordered region seem to be in the center of an apocalypse. Shit. Dragon King, the Manta Ray King of the disordered region, is currently fighting with another terrifying existence. Seeing the terrifying scene from afar, the leader of Devil Kid was filled with horror as he spoke to Wang Xian. King? Wang Xian turned around instantly and his expression turned solemn as he looked into the distance. Manta Ray King is an Immortal-class creature. It is the strongest existence in the entire disordered region. In the past, I offended an immortal and he chased me to this place. In the end, he incurred the fury of that terrifying Manta Ray King. It has a body that is over 30 meters long. Its pitch-black body is covered in terrifying-looking scales. At that time, that immortal escaped in a hurry after exchanging a dozen moves with the Manta Ray King. It can fly in the sky and swim underwater. When it emerges from the seas, the devilish aura masks the sky and no light can reach the area within a radius of several dozens of miles around it, Old Dwarf Man explained to Wang Xian while looking flabbergasted. It is also because there is an Immortal-class creature in the disordered region that deterred many elite experts from various denominations from entering. If we had the choice, we wouldn't want to be here either. An old man said, looking into the distance. The Manta Ray King is the true lord of the disordered region, the leader of Devil Kid explained. You guys shall stay here while I go take a look. Feeling the intensity of the battle in that direction, Wang Xian moved towards it at an incredible speed. Be careful, Dragon King, the newly joined Dragonians reminded. Just relax. Mo Qinglong looked at them and commented plainly. The one fighting with the Manta Ray King was Roving Sword. If there was an Immortal-class creature in this place, there should be many budding Realm-class Manta Ray. Roving Heavens and the remaining Dragon Palace members have likely run into some trouble. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and a red and blue light flickered. He dived into the water and executed instant shift immediately. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying figure emerged from the sea. It was entirely black and was over 30 meters long. It resembled the terrifying creatures that only existed in ancient times. When it emerged from the seas, the color of the sky changed and the area within a radius of 20 to 30 miles was shrouded in the devilish aura. This is what is truly meant by covering the skies with devilish aura. Dang dang dang. Suddenly, a blinding golden light emerged from the seas. The golden light transformed into a sword and split the devilish aura that covered the entire sky. Chapter 646, Immortal-class Terrifying Battle. Chapter 646, Immortal-class Terrifying Battle. GGG. A scary buzz came from the sky. A manta ray of more than 30 meters was flapping just like a bat flapping its wings in the air. Its teeth were 5 meters long as though bones were piercing outward when the mouth was open. Along with its cry, clouds of scary demonic aura coagulated into smaller manta ray images of 4 meters in size. The demonic shadow struck at the sharp golden swords. Boom boom. The manta ray demonic phantoms collided with the golden sword shadows, giving off a huge explosion. Black and golden colors exploded like daunting fireworks. Whoosh. At this instant, rays of golden beams darted out from the sea as though some terrifying things were rising out from it while the seawater spread out on its own. Roving Sword stood on the long sword that was glowing in golden radiance. He was staring at the Manta Ray King that was oozing with demonic aura in the air. Get out of our region. The Manta Ray King suspended itself in the air as it stared at Roving Sword with its pitch-black eyes, spewing rings of ripples. The ripple waves were like a transmission on a spiritual level as the voice traveled out to a radius of over 10 kilometers. All the living creatures could understand, as though its words could enter into the mind of every living being. We came from the Dragon Palace. If you submit to us and join us, we can spare your life. Roving Sword stared at the Manta Ray King and spoke with a cold face. What Dragon Palace? Get out of this water region or else die. The Manta Ray King flapped its vast wings, shrouding Roving Sword with a domineering demonic aura. At the same time, its body looked like a fighter plane, whizzing in at Roving Sword. Swords rule the world, I'm the supreme. Seeing Manta Ray King going for a strike, Roving Sword jerked himself back, releasing daunting metallic energy and blocking the shrouding demonic aura. Millions of golden long swords appeared in the void, aiming straight at Manta Ray King. ZZ. Manta Ray King suddenly retracted its wings while the sharp teeth in its gigantic head went for a bite of Roving Sword's head. Spaceless blade. Seeing that no swords left any trace on its wings, Roving Sword raised his arm and brought it down. All the golden radiance came together at rapid speed, forming a 100-meter-long sword pointing at Manta Ray King. Bang bang bang. Behind Manta Ray King was a black tail that extended to a length of over 10 meters like a devilish whip, sweeping in at Roving Sword. Sword defense. There was a change in Roving Sword's expression. The surrounding golden swords were spinning at a rapid speed, forming a wall of sword defense. Boom. However, the compelling forces swept off Roving Sword, causing him to plummet into the sea at a terrifying speed. Waves splashed up 100 meters. GG Devil Shadow. Manta Ray King watched the sea with trembling wings. Another similar-sized demonic shadow headed into the sea. Boom. Another explosion was heard. All the seawater within the radius of 1 kilometer sank down, forming a scary whirlpool. Roar. At this moment, a beam of sword radiance darted out from the sea. The golden long sword was 20 meters in size, directed at the Manta Ray King. This was not a golden long sword, but a daunting metallic swordfish. Golden Swordfish Roving Sword. At this time, Roving Sword returned back to his original form with imposing aura. His entire body had turned into a ruthless sword. Using the spine on his head as the tip of the sword, and his body as the edge of the sword, his fishtail was the sword hilt. Sword becomes one, I'm the sword. Bam. Roving sword transformed into a sword and charged. Boom. Petrifying impact and a deafening clang resounded through heaven and earth. GG. However, Manta Ray King went forward slow and steady with its hair-raising wings and tail. Boom boom. The battle between the Immortals was destructive. Patches of gold and black filled the air while all the water in the sea tumbled. The current sea was like a small boat rocking in a tsunami. Bam bam bam. At this moment, Manta Ray King's tail was emitting dazzling black demonic aura, looming over Roving Sword's body with its devil's whip. The unparalleled domineering power caused the glow on Roving Sword's body to dim. Bam. Countless devil's whips suddenly got together and stuck forcefully at Roving Sword. Roving Sword was thrown off, sinking into the deep blue sea. Oh no, what a terrifying Manta Ray King. Wang Xian, who flew over from the disordered island, was aghast. GG, go to hell. The tail of Manta Ray King suddenly grew long and stabbed into the sea. Sword Alps. Roar. No hesitation at all. In that instance, Wang Xian swept in with majestic energy. The seawater within a radius of 10 kilometers tumbled, forming a daunting Sword Alps on the sea surface. The Sword Alps of a few thousand meters stood before Manta Ray King, blocking off its tail. At the same time, Wang Xian turned into a marine divine dragon 10 meters in size. Ka ka ka. The Manta Ray King's tail stabbed into the Sword Alps. The mountain-like Sword Alps cracked at a rapid speed. Crazy attacking power. Wang Xian's expression changed. You're courting your own doom. Manta Ray King's eyes slowly turned red. The appearance of Wang Xian infuriated him. Wang Xian swayed his body while his tail rocked in the sea. Great waterfall water shockwave. Instantly, the water from the sea shot up straight to the sky. All the water up to 2,000 meters deep rose into the sky in a split second. As the seawater rose up, a black seabed emerged. Get out of my territory or die. Manta Ray King spun around and fixed its eyes at Wang Xian. It flapped its scary wings, transforming into a devil shadow. It charged through the water region that rose in the sky 10 kilometers high ahead of it. Water shockwave. Wang Xian stared at the domineering Manta Ray King and exhibited a stern look on his face. His body exuded a dazzling azure glow. Boom boom. Streams of water shockwave rushed towards Manta Ray King within a radius of 10 kilometers, with water shockwaves coming one after another. Every water shockwave rose to 1,000 meters just like the twine of aquatic ropes, gathering forces of supremacy. Clang. At this time there was another clashing sound. A 20-meter-long sword was charging toward Manta Ray King again. Wang Xian had an idea. A whole tear in the great waterfall water shockwave such that Roving Sword could charge. Oh. Along with the water shockwave force, the merciless sword slashed across. An agonized voice was heard while dark blood slowly flowed out from its body. Damn you. The devil's whip of Manta Ray King swept Roving Sword aside while his wings were flapping at a daunting frequency. What fast speed. Seeing Manta Ray King disappearing at his right-hand side immediately, Wang Xian was slightly horrified. Chapter 647, A Sweep. Chapter 647, A Sweep. Illusory Dragon's Explosive Crunch. Wang Xian flexed his muscles and over 100 water divine dragons appeared around him. Each and every water divine dragon charged towards and attacked the Manta Ray King. Bam, bam, bam. The Manta Ray King stared intensely at the overwhelming number of water divine dragons around him. Swinging its tail across, countless devil's whips appeared and slapped towards the water divine dragons. The illusory figures that were formed from water energy were destroyed instantly. This guy is too strong. Wang Xian's expression changed drastically. Edgeless blade. At this moment, Wang Xian could hear Roving Sword's roar. A huge sword smashed towards the Manta Ray King directly. Fuck. You guys deserve to die. The Manta Ray King growled furiously once again and was sent smashing downwards after being hit by the edgeless blade. At this very moment, the vast sea that was below the Manta Ray King previously was now blasted to a patch of pitch-black seabed. There were also countless fish that were tumbling on the seabed. The majority of them were now dead. Surrender. Wang Xian pulled a long face as he spoke. The sea region that was in the air and which spanned 10 kilometers changed drastically. A water sword that was over 100 meters smashed towards the Manta Ray King at the bottom of the sea. It was as though a terrifying rain of swords was falling down. Grr, grr. Just you wait. The Manta Ray King extended its wings and revealed the countless wounds on it. It used its wings to shield its head, and its blood-red eyes were locked on Wang Xian. The next instant, it flew towards the faraway sea region. Wang Xian's eyebrows knitted together instantly as the seawater in the sky smashed towards the ground. Rumble. Roving Sword turned back into his human form from his golden swordfish form and moved towards Wang Xian with a solemn look. Dragon King, that Manta Ray is really strong. I'm not a match for it. If we based it on the classification of Yongchang world, it should be a middle-class immortal. It's really strong and highly intelligent. Wang Xian's eyebrows knit together. When fighting together with Roving Sword, they were barely able to suppress the Manta Ray King. If Roving Sword was to fight along, all he could do was flee. The creatures in the open sea are truly terrifying. If it flew to shore, it would be able to destroy an entire city easily. Wang Xian heaved a sigh while looking below him. The seawater fell back into the sea and was tumbling constantly. From a far distance away, Roving Heavens, Roving Lobster and the rest were swimming towards Wang Xian rapidly. What's the situation here? Wang Xian asked Roving Sword. Dragon King, this is truly a treasure ground. There are a large number of pure blood corals in this place. Other than that, there's a type of spiritual medicine known as Devil Cloud Bead. The Devil Cloud Bead would be greatly useful for devil attribute cultivators. Roving Sword gave Wang Xian an introduction. 4 races in the sea, the largest race would be the Manta Ray. This species of fish is extremely violent and will attack any living creature. The Manta Ray King was acting as such a while ago. Once it saw us, it attacked us the next instant. Other than the Manta Ray race, there's another small race. They were a type of mystical sea demons and exceptionally cunning. Oh, sea demons? There are other races in this region where there is an Immortal-class creature? Wang Xian felt a little curious. That group of sea demons is extremely cunning. They could even avoid my pursuit and the Manta Ray King might not be able to catch them either. Roving Sword explained to Wang Xian. Is that right? Wang Xian nodded his head and his eyebrows soon knitted together. It's getting a little troublesome now. If that Manta Ray King wishes to flee, we have no way of killing it at all. Moreover, with its intelligence, it is clear that it wouldn't surrender. It would be a little difficult to occupy this place. Roving Sword seconded. Although Roving Sword had just entered the immortal realm, his strength and especially his attacking prowess wasn't something that lower-class immortals could match. It was the same for Wang Xian. After transforming into his divine dragon form, his strength would also be a lot stronger than a lower-class immortal. They were barely able to suppress the Manta Ray King when they fought together. It would be impossible for them to kill it. If we can't occupy this place, let's sweep through this place. The edge of Wang Xian's lips curved upwards as he remarked, take all the treasures of this place along. Dragon King. Dragon King. Roving Heavens and the remaining members of the Dragon Palace arrived and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Let's go. Follow me. Wang Xian saw many devil monkeys holding pure blood corals in their hands with many others holding black beads the size of a fist. The next instant, he flew towards the island in the disordered region. Yes. The group of Dragon Palace members followed closely behind. Those 2 darned fellows? How dare they barge into my territory? What the hell is the Dragon Palace? I hope they will leave as soon as possible. At this very moment, several tens of kilometers away, the Manta Ray King wiggled its devil's whip violently while letting out a creepy voice. He was surrounded by approximately 45 huge manta rays. Each one was at least 15 to 16 meters long with terrifying auras surrounding them. All of them were level 12 budding realm existences. The Manta Ray King wiggled its body and entered a mountain peak on the seabed. The remaining manta rays swam around it. Dragon King. Dragon King. On the disordered island, the Dragonians called out respectfully as soon as they saw Wang Xian arriving. Lead me to the edge of the disordered region. Wang Xian ordered the newly accepted Dragonians. Dragon King, we will be closest to the edge if we head in that direction. The leader of Devil Kid pointed to his right while speaking. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head, looked across them and said, in the future your name will be Dragon Kid, yours will be Dragon Spirit, yours will be Dragon Wolf. Wang Xian gave each Dragonian who had reached the budding realm a name, making reference to the wandering groups they were once from. Thank you, Dragon King, for bestowing upon us new names. The newly accepted Dragonians thanked Wang Xian respectfully. Let's go. Wang Xian led the way and the group moved ahead at a terrifying speed. From this place, start sweeping ahead and kill all creatures at the inborn level and above. Sweep away all the treasures within this region and put them in the space ring. Wang Xian instructed them and threw a space ring towards Mo Qinglong, Roving Lobster, Roving Heavens and the rest of the group. These space rings were from the 15 people from the Devil's Sealing Immortal sect from Xia Cauldron world. There was a total of 10 space rings and each had a rather large storage space that allowed one to store a huge number of corpses and treasures. Yes, Dragon King. The Dragonians and members of the Dragon Palace caught the space rings and looked across the piece of sea region. Since we can't dominate this region, we can only take a step back and sweep this place. Wang Xian dived into the sea and transformed into his divine dragon form while observing the surroundings, after which he swam rapidly forward. The best option for him would be to occupy this region. However, the shame was that there was a terrifying Immortal-class manta ray around this region. Unless there are 2 more Immortal-class creatures from the Dragon Palace, it will be difficult to occupy this region. Wang Xian thought deeply about it. For him to complete the first transformation of the Divine Dragon, he would require 1 billion units of dragon energy. 1 billion units of dragon energy was astronomical. It would require him to devour several thousand level 12 marine creatures for him to gather the necessary amount. 1 billion units of dragon energy would also allow him to raise roughly 20 Immortal-class Dragon Palace subordinates. I've got to raise 2 more Immortal-class Dragon Palace members as soon as possible. Chapter 648 Kraken. Chapter 648, Kraken. The Dragon Palace was still too weak. Currently, only Roving Sword and he possessed supreme-class combat capacity, and there were a dozen or more budding realm experts. As the Dragon King of Dragon Palace, it was not possible for him to suppress the entire sea region. Hence he would need Roving Sword and the rest. However, he alone was completely useless if they encountered a situation similar to Manta Ray King. There must be 2 level 13 Dragon Palace members here to suppress this place. On top of that, it was best to have an Immortal-class expert in suppressing this place too. Hence, the best-case scenario was to have 2 Immortal-class members from Dragon Palace. With high-end combat capacity, Dragon Palace could better develop themselves. In order to establish the order in the sea, the prerequisite was to have a strong military force to suppress it. During the battle with the Manta Ray King, it had high intelligence and knew when to retreat. Knowing that it could not beat them, the Manta Ray King ran away. If there were more compelling members in Dragon Palace, they could totally take down the Manta Ray King. Even though they could not kill it, they could at least stun it and eventually rein it in. Even if Manta Ray King did not surrender and wanted to continue to stay there, it must be bound by the Dragon Palace. Immortal-class Manta Ray King's intelligence was very high, but its subordinates were otherwise. Dragon Palace could order their subordinates to go through the Dragon Gate test. If they passed the test, they would become the members of Dragon Palace. With talents and the boost in cultivation, Dragon Palace would slowly turn stronger. Fueling their combat capacity with warfare would enhance the speed of their cultivation too. If they had sufficient Immortal-class experts in Dragon Palace, they could easily kill those Immortal-class creatures who failed to surrender. They could suppress one place and establish an invincible force centered around Dragon Palace, or even underwater civilization. Let's hope we can comb through the resources from this disordered region to groom 2 Immortal-class members of the Dragon Palace. If that's the case, the territory of the Dragon Palace will expand to 1,000 kilometers. Wang Xian pondered to himself. He surveyed the surroundings. On his left and right, a few hundred Dragon Palace members and Dragonians were scattered around a few kilometers away from him, combing the entire disordered region for treasures inch by inch. Looking ahead, he could see mountains standing under the sea in darkness. There's a pure blood coral over there. Dragon Spirit Dwarf stared at the middle of the mountain with excitement in his eyes. They had dived to the bottom of the sea. In the past, the wandering groups could only dive no more than 100 meters deep. Diving 1,000 meters in a big group was not what budding realm experts would dare to do, as the manta ray in this water region were extremely scary. Failing to seek it out, Wang Xian and Roving Sword could only survey the surroundings with vigilance to prevent Manta Ray King from sneaking an attack. There are too many pure blood corals in this entire region. Besides, the pure blood corals will still grow if we cannot clear their roots completely. The manta rays devour pure blood corals to gain their strength, while the pure blood corals devour the manta rays and the other marine creatures to enhance their own strength. This is a perfect cycle. As long as there are marine creatures in this water, the pure blood coral will not go extinct. Pure blood corals can give off a special scent to attract the marine creatures, feed on them, and grow. Even without manta rays in the disordered region, there is a large number of fishes around. Mo Qinglong, Dragon Kid, and Dragon Spirit were exchanging conversations. I guess the devil-sealing immortal sect disciples also spotted this natural treasure ground. Thus, they wanted to take over this place. Wang Xian pondered as he listened to them. The members of Dragon Palace and the Dragonians discovered pure blood corals and devil cloud bead spiritual grass from time to time. Their advancing speed was fast. Even when there were occasional appearances of manta rays, Roving Sword took care of them easily. As long as the Manta Ray King was not here, this place would not pose the slightest danger to them. The entire disordered region spanned over 1,000 miles, and it would take at least half a month to comb through the area thoroughly. But they had all the time. After reporting the situation to Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue, and the rest, Wang Xian stayed put in the disordered region. His space rings were filled with priceless pure blood corals and devil cloud beads. "Let's pluck those low-level devil cloud beads and plant them in the Dragon Palace," said Wang Xian to the members of the Dragon Palace and Dragonians. He was going to open up space for a medicine garden to grow all kinds of spiritual grass. Dragon King, there's something odd ahead." At this time, the dragon spirit sounded quizzical. He fixed his eyes ahead with vigilance. Wang Xian looked ahead when he heard the dragon spirit. The dragon spirit was that old dwarf who was not even a meter tall. However, he possessed alertness that Dragonians did not have. They had combed through more than half of the disordered region for 6 days when they came across the region with mountains lined up ahead. Dozens of mountains were closely packed together thousands of meters away. Wang Xian furrowed his brows with a puzzled look. "What's strange about it?" asked Wang Xian, looking at Dragon Spirit. "I don't know either. When I was chased by the creepy snake group from Japan, I always had the same feeling. We are good at hiding, assassinating, deception. This place gave me a similar vibe." The small-built dragon spirit was looking around with all his wrinkled skin squeezing together. This made him look scary. Clang clang. Roving Sword took out his sword and put it in front of him, giving off the clanging sound of metal. A hint of doubt flashed on Wang Xian's face. His body slowly circled around. Boom. Great waterfall water shock wave. The blue energy instantly covered an area with a radius of 10 kilometers, and the whole entire region was within the coverage. Quite a good hidden means. Is this the Kraken that you were talking about? Wang Xian looked to Roving Sword with surprise. Yes, Dragon King. This must be the Kraken we encountered before. It's quite creepy, not very strong, but it can easily avoid my tracking. Roving Sword nodded as he looked at the surroundings. Boom. The water within a radius of 10 kilometers vibrated immediately when Wang Xian swung his dragon claws. Whoosh. At this time, figures sharing similar colors with the sea seemed to have wriggled out from two-dimensional space, striking at Wang Xian. What a great way to hide. They are actually just 100 meters in front of us. Wang Xian was taken aback as he watched a claw that was as sharp as daggers coming at him. The claw fell on the dragon head without leaving any trace. Wang Xian jerked backward and a blue glow appeared ahead instantly. A kraken of 1.5 meters, with 2 sharp claws that were bigger than its body, appeared before him. But to his surprise, the kraken showed up under the blue light for 1 second, and then vanished once again. Chapter 649, Subduing the Mysterious Demons. Chapter 649, Subduing the Mysterious Demons. Mysterious Demon, Level 11. Extractable Dragon Energy, 553,353. When the information appeared in Wang Xian's mind, the figure before his eyes had completely disappeared. Despite the region before him being part of the Great Waterfall Water Shockwave and a region controlled by Wang Xian's water energy, he still couldn't sense the mysterious demon at all. Perfect concealment visually and energy-wise. This mysterious demon is truly terrifying and a natural-born assassin. Wang Xian was a little shocked. It was not surprising to him now that such creatures would be able to survive within the territory of that Manta Ray King. The mysterious demon was just like a chameleon. However, it was a lot more incredible than a chameleon. SSS. The disappearance of the mysterious demons before their eyes made the group of Dragonians gasp and stare vigilantly at their surroundings. Roving Sword was equally shocked. He waved his arm and blinding golden energy shrouded around him for several kilometers. Under the illumination of his metal attribute energy, several figures appeared in his sight. These figures were roughly 1.5 meters tall with emaciated bodies and razor-sharp arms. However, the moment these mysterious demons noticed they'd been discovered, their bodies shimmered and disappeared from sight a second later. Dynamic talents. A flash of light ran across Wang Xian's eyes. The blue water energy around him flickered and the range of the great waterfall water shockwave shrank rapidly. At his moment he felt movement from a direction. Water imprisonment. Wang Xian tightened his dragon claws and rods made of water streams formed a solid cage. Bam! At this moment a figure surfaced. Razor-sharp claws extended into the water imprisonment. It was clear that a mysterious demon was trying to save its companions from the water imprisonment. Wang Xian gripped his dragon claws once again and streams of water trapped the other mysterious demon. Wang Xian could easily crush a level 11 creature to death. With two mysterious demons trapped within cages, the entire space quietened down. Not a single mysterious demon dared to show itself again. The space of the great waterfall water shockwave shrank further as Wang Xian observed the region. Appear now and surrender. Otherwise die. Wang Xian shouted coldly. The water region controlled by him contracted rapidly. In just a dozen seconds, the area had contracted to a radius of 1,000 meters. Wang Xian frowned and was clearly becoming impatient. Whoosh! The seawater started boiling and terrifying heat emitted from him. Screech, screech, screech. In an instant, figures appeared one after another. They had blue skin and relatively long ears. There was a total of more than 100 mysterious demons who were staring at Wang Xian and the group with deep grudges. White-colored energy emitted from their bodies as they resisted Wang Xian's boiling water attack. Hehe. Are you guys going to surrender? Wang Xian stared at the 100-odd mysterious demons and revealed a faint smile. At the same time, water ropes extended and wrapped around the mysterious demons. What are you trying to achieve? We have no feud with you. The water ropes wrapped around the necks of the mysterious demons. When they tried to break free, they were surprised to find out that their attempts were futile. A relatively larger and bulkier mysterious demon stared at Wang Xian and questioned him. Surrender to me in my dragon palace. Wang Xian said in a low voice as the water ropes around their necks tightened. What benefits would we get for surrendering to you? That mysterious demon asked Wang Xian once again. It looked solemn and had eyes that seemed to be brimming with intelligence. Wang Xian was pleasantly surprised and answered plainly, You wouldn't have to die. You wouldn't have to die. In other words, if they did not surrender, they would die. The group of mysterious demons exchanged glances and some of them were clearly bitter about it. Wang Xian stared at them curiously. Looking at their expressions, his desire to subdue them grew even stronger. The intelligence of this group of mysterious demons could almost match the Immortal-class Manta Ray King. However, they were clearly a lot weaker than the Manta Ray King. Intelligence was an exemplification of the strength of a race. Although this wasn't the only criteria, creatures with higher intelligence would find it easier to reach a higher level. Nonetheless, this wasn't the main reason why Wang Xian had such interest in these mysterious demons. The main reason was for their concealment abilities. Those were simply too insane. We are willing to accept your deployment, the mysterious demon replied with a solemn face. Hehe. Seeing that they were feeling a little indignant, Wang Xian smiled faintly. Drops of essence blood hovered in the water. Absorb it and do not put up any resistance. Otherwise you will die. Wang Xian waved his arm and drops of essence blood flew to them. A total of 113 mysterious demons. They looked at the essence blood before them before turning their attention to the mysterious demon that had spoken to Wang Xian. That mysterious demon shook his head helplessly and absorbed the essence blood. The surrounding group of mysterious demons observed the reactions of that mysterious demon silently. A race that is filled with intelligence and is peace-loving. Wang Xian stared on. That mysterious demon that had absorbed the essence blood beamed with excitement. Let the other mysterious demons absorb the essence blood. Yes, Dragon King. That mysterious demon bowed respectfully and nodded his head at the surrounding mysterious demons. The surrounding group of mysterious demons did not hesitate any further as they absorbed the essence blood. 15 budding realm and the remaining are all level 11. The mysterious demon race is really strong and powerful. Moreover, their talents are really insane. Wang Xian's eyes beamed with excitement. Greetings, Dragon King. At this moment, the mysterious demons that had consumed the essence blood went down on a knee and bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. You must be their leader, right? Are the members of the mysterious demon clan all here? Wang Xian waved his hand at the mysterious demon that had spoken up previously. Yes, Dragon King. That mysterious demon nodded his head before saying, all our members are here. This region is our nest. Wang Xian looked at the approaching mysterious demon and placed his dragon claw on his body. Indeed. Just as I expected. A really unique body composition. Wang Xian stared at the mysterious demon while mumbling to himself. Unique body constitution and bloodline were both bug-like advantages for any cultivators. Body constitution and bloodline could be differentiated into different tiers. Elite tier body constitution and bloodline could allow a creature to stand at the very peak of the entire universe. Sun Lingxiu's holy light constitution, Wang Xian's divine dragon constitution, the bloodline of the heavenly hound and the body constitution of the mysterious demon were all unique. The reason why Wang Xian was certain that the uniqueness of the mysterious demons lay in their body constitution and not their bloodline was because of their flesh and skin. Their flesh and skin possessed a very unique form of energy. This energy allowed them to conceal their figures. Natural-born killers and terrifying shadowless assassins. They could blend into any environment within a second. This ability of theirs could no longer be described as concealment. Assimilation. Perfect assimilation. Even if Wang Xian had released a region controlled by his water energy, they could still assimilate into the region rapidly, making it impossible for Wang Xian to detect their location. I wonder what kind of constitution this is. It's truly exceptionally powerful for assassination, sneak attacks, and making it hard for others to guard against an attack. Wang Xian heaved a sigh emotionally, feeling he had chanced upon a treasure this time. The value of the mysterious demon race could even match the golden swordfish race. Chapter 650 A Rewarding Trip. Chapter 650, A Rewarding Trip. At present, Wang Xian was more optimistic about the development of golden swordfish and mysterious demon race, given their potential and combat capabilities. Golden swordfish practicing swordsmanship after they turned into humans were extremely daunting. Especially when Wang Xian saw the attacking means of roving sword today. Hence, he valued the future golden swordfish more. He recalled that roving sword had returned to his original golden swordfish form and transformed into the terrifying merciless sword, confronting the enemy. I'm the sword, slaying the void. If roving sword and the golden swordfish clan decided to become immersed in swordsmanship, they might become the peerless swordsmen of the universe. At that time they could slash the starry sky with a golden longsword. As for the mysterious demon race, their talent and metamorphosis into any environment would make them the top-grade killers. Wang Xian was 2 levels higher than level 11 mysterious demon. Yet they could remain hidden within his water energy region. Not to mention one of them was in the Immortal-class realm. If the golden swordfish race could become supreme-class swordsmen that could slash the starry sky, then the mysterious demon race could become unparalleled killers that eliminate thousands of enemies. Wang Xian stared at the mysterious demon with eyes full of surprise. Wang Xian regarded these 2 races highly and was looking forward to their growth. On the contrary, Wang Xian had not discovered the advantage of the Anomaly and devil monkeys. The potential that both races displayed was worse than the Wuxia race. The speed of the Wuxia race, combined with their attacking skills and compelling defense, made them the best guards for the Dragon Palace. I will subdue races in terms of their potential in the future. Wang Xian pondered to himself as he looked to the leader of the mysterious demon race. Today I'll bestow upon you the name Roving Demon. You'll be responsible for any assassinations arranged by the Dragon Palace, known as the Dragon Assassinating Division. In the future, you'll be practicing light divine dragon transformation. Thank you, Dragon King. Roving Demon bowed down with respect. Wang Xian nodded slowly. Does your nest have any worldly treasures? Bring them up. Dragon King, we have some pure blood corals. Roving Demon answered. Okay, bring everything up. Mysterious demon race's constitution was in favor of light. They could make use of light to alter their body colors and aura so as to camouflage themselves in the environment. Hence, Wang Xian could only teach them the light divine dragon transformation. Practicing light-attributed skills would allow them to walk under the sun as assassins. You actually have so many pure blood corals in your lair? When Wang Xian followed them to one of the mountains, he was shocked to see the number of pure blood corals. There were about 1,000 tufts of them. Each of them was on par with level 6 elixir pills. More than 1,000 tufts of pure blood corals are much more than what we had searched for in half of the disordered region. They are very valuable. It looks like the mysterious demons have collected quite a number of treasures with their daunting concealment skills. No wonder all of them are at least level 11, and not a single inborn could be found. Wang Xian was thrilled. The number of pure blood corals was equivalent to over 100 million points of dragon energy, which could help a Dragon Palace member to advance to the immortal realm. Prime Minister Turtle must advance to immortal first. Then, the remaining materials should be able to cultivate another one. Let's go. Wang Xian was elated as he raised his voice at the Dragonians and members of the Dragon Palace. All of them continued to swim ahead. Subsequently, Wang Xian and his gang killed all the manta ray they met along the way in the disordered region, reaping all the pure blood corals and devil cloud beads. Days passed, and the resources Wang Xian gained were increasing at a terrifying rate. Dragon King, the nest of the manta ray is straight ahead. When Wang Xian and the gang arrived at a massive mountain in the bottom of the sea 4 days later, Roving Demon appeared by his side to remind him. Is it here? Wang Xian looked at the mountain that was towering over the sea with radiance flickering in his eyes. He looked ahead and spotted a pair of bloodshot pupils staring right in his direction. Let's take a detour. Wang Xian did not want to provoke this fellow and decided to make a detour out of the Manta Ray King's region. Seeing them taking another route around it, the Manta Ray King went back to his nest. He knew he was not a match for those two fellows. Since they did not provoke him, he would jolly well turn a blind eye. He was not a fool. Whoosh. 13 days later, Wang Xian surfaced out from the water and transformed back to his human form. Behind him, Dragonians followed and stood on the water. We're at the end of it. Wang Xian had a faint smile on his face. They had reached the end after combing through the entire disordered region, and almost all the treasures were ransacked from it. Let's go back. I wonder if Shu Qing is awake. Xiao Yu, Qingyue and the rest should be anxiously waiting for me. Wang Xian slowly walked ahead as he spoke with an indifferent tone. Dragon Kid walked to Wang Xian and asked respectfully, Dragon King, the Devil Kid has a luxurious yacht. Should I steer it over? Go on. Wang Xian nodded. In less than 10 minutes, a yacht of a size more than 100 meters long steered over. It was white in color, looking extravagant. The yacht was divided into 4 stories. Dragon King, I got the shipping company to make this for me while I provided the materials. It can withstand up to a level 8's full-blown attack. The interior is also decorated in the most high-class style. Dragon Kid walked over and spoke to Wang Xian with high esteem. Let's go. Wang Xian looked at the yacht and laughed. Even if this kind of yacht was made of average materials, it would be worth more than $1 billion. However, money was nothing but a worldly possession to Wang Xian. He had seen at least a few hundred shipwrecks in the sea. There was gold, jewelry, porcelain, and other precious artifacts that could add up to hundreds of billions, if not trillions. Wang Xian had been letting them lie around in the sea. Now he needed spiritual stones the most. When the 9 Cauldron worlds descended into the real world, spiritual stones would become the currency. Let's head to Glacier Coral Island. Wang Xian flew to the highest story of the yacht with a beaming face. He stood on the deck in front of the most luxurious lounge, staring ahead. The rest of the Dragon Palace members followed behind at a farther distance. The treasures within the space ring will suffice for cultivating another 2 Immortal-class experts. One of them will be Prime Minister Turtle, but who should I choose next? Wang Xian touched his own space ring with a hesitant look. Roving heavens, roving Yeksha, 9 venomous snakes, roving Anomalocris, roving lobster, roving girl? Perhaps I can get them to spar. Whoever wins will be promoted to the immortal realm. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. This was a feasible method as he could also witness their strength. Chapter 651, The Anomaly of Mt. Taibai. Chapter 651, The Anomaly of Mt. Taibai. I heard something strange has happened to Mt. Taibai in China. The entire mountain range is just like an immortal region. White-colored spiritual energy shrouded the entire mountain range and the place is cordoned off right now. Really? So magical? I heard it from a friend of mine from China. He said something huge has happened there. Although the entire region of China is behind the times, it had its glory days in the past and has many ancient ruins. Perhaps someone has discovered one of them. Should we head over to take a look? I think we can forget about it. I heard that this incident has drawn the attention of various international forces in Asia. The creepy snake of Japan has already headed there. Glacier Coral Island. Xiaoyu, Lan Qingyue and the other 3 girls sat in a restaurant by the sea. Several young men walked past them and were discussing softly. Ruins? Xiaoyu and the girls exchanged glances before turning to the group of young men with curiosity. The 4 young men sat beside them with a tinge of arrogance and pride. They leaned back against their chairs and continued discussing casually. Hi handsome. I overheard you saying that something strange has happened to Mt. Taibai of China. Could you elaborate in detail? Xiaoyu looked to one of the young men and asked this with a smile. When the 4 young men heard Xiaoyu, they were taken aback slightly. His eyes beamed with excitement the moment he turned around as he answered, Oh? Hey pretty, are you from China? Yeah. Can you elaborate on the matter in detail? Xiaoyu asked with a smile. You girls haven't heard about it? Dense spiritual energy has descended on Mt. Taibai of China. Do you girls know about spiritual energy? Are you girls martial artists? A handsome young man smiled and observed the girls as he replied with a smile. I don't know. What happened after that? Xiaoyu asked curiously. Spiritual energy flowed down like water and into the mountain range. Several tens of kilometers around the mountain range now resemble an immortal region. If an ordinary person were to live in that area, that insane level of spiritual energy would allow one to become a martial artist easily. As the young man spoke, he gestured to the waitress by the side and said, Please get these beautiful girls a glass of red wine each. That's not necessary. Xiaoyu shook her head and thanked him. Sisters-in-law, do you all think that's because the 9 cauldron worlds are starting to descend into the real world? Xiaoyu asked curiously. That's a possibility. When Xiao Xian gets back, let's tell him about it. The expressions on Lan Qingyue and the girls instantly turned serious. They had heard from Wang Xian how exceptionally powerful the 9 cauldron worlds were. There were several immortal realm experts and over 100 budding realm experts. If the 9 cauldron worlds were to descend into the real world, the rules of the underworld would undergo huge changes. Yeah. We've got to increase our strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, we might be in real danger in the future. We can't be dragging Xiao Xian down again. Son Lingxiu chuckled. Sister-in-law Lingxiu, the cultivation speed of you 3 is much faster than me and my master. Moreover, you look so much better than us. Our forms are simply too ugly. Xiaoyu pouted. Recalling her image as the skeletal dragon, she couldn't cheer herself up. Xiaoyu, are you thinking of getting a boyfriend now? Why are you so concerned about your appearance suddenly? Sister-in-law, what are you saying? The girls joked around. Every action of theirs released a charm that made the 4 young men sitting beside them swallow their saliva. Hey pretties, do you mind if we sit by you? A young man couldn't hold back and stood up. He held a glass of red wine in his hand and asked them softly. We might. Sorry. Ajaya looked across them and answered plainly. Hey pretties, aren't you going to show us some face? That young man's expression stiffened and he didn't stop walking over. With a gentle smile, he sat on a seat beside the girls. Bam. The moment he sat down, the chair fell back onto the ground. The young man was shocked. Just as he wanted to stand up, he suddenly felt a force weighing down on him. His body was pressed into the ground directly. The huge commotion drew the attention from the surrounding crowd. Hehe. We have already told you that we mind and yet you choose to walk over. Xiao Yu looked at him with mocking eyes while wearing a radiant smile. Xiao Xian is here. Let's go. At this moment, Lan Qingyue saw a message on her phone and said this to Xiao Yu and the girls. Let's go. Xiao Yu and the girls smiled and stood up. You girls must be too eager to die. Fires of fury were smoldering in the eyes of that young man as he stood up immediately. Boom. However, a terrifying aura swept across his body at this instant. That young man was astonished as he slumped onto the floor in fear. The other three young men were equally shocked by what they witnessed. Wow, what a huge luxury yacht. Xiao Yu and the girls walked towards the giant yacht, which stopped by the beach with excitement. They exclaimed with ecstasy. It's just a yacht. Look at how happy you are. Xiao Xian smiled at Xiao Yu and continued, How was it? Have you girls enjoyed yourselves over the last few days? Pretty good. The five girls continued observing the huge luxurious yacht inquisitively. The luxurious yacht was initially built for leisure. There were various kinds of entertainment on it and it had several luxurious rooms on the second level. It was several dozen times better than the one that they had taken to this place. Let's head back and see if Shuqing has gotten better, Wang Xian said to them. Oh yeah, Xiao Xian. We heard something a while ago. You can check it out on the Underworld website. Lan Qingyue told Wang Xian what they had heard about the incident. Wang Xian's expression turned a little serious as he retrieved his phone and entered the Underworld website. The current Underworld website was a lot quieter than in the past as the entire Underworld had become more peaceful. At this moment, there was almost no longer any killings in the Underworld. Everyone was just growing silently. However, Taibai had experienced some anomaly just a few days ago. Dense spiritual energy flowed down the sky and into the mountain range as though it was water. This matter had instantly stirred up the entire Underworld. All the martial artists swarmed towards Taibai frantically. This is crazy. Too crazy. I have advanced 2 levels in a single day. The spiritual energy around here is just like flowing water. Staying within it can cleanse one's meridians and channels. A while ago, a monkey even grew into a huge 5-meter ape. This is too shocking. Let me tell everyone a piece of bad news. There are martial artists from overseas who have headed there. These forces are likely beyond what we can handle. Wang Xian was astonished as he went through these threats. The 9 Cauldron worlds have descended into the real world? However, this shouldn't be happening. The spiritual energy within the 9 Cauldron worlds isn't even this horrifying. What's happening? Wang Xian immediately made a call to the Dragonians responsible for the Omniscient group and requested that they send him all the information on that place. This is likely to be still related to the 9 Cauldron worlds. Chapter 652, Another 2 Immortals. Chapter 652, Another 2 Immortals. Anomaly of Taibai. The yacht was moving in the direction of the Dragon Palace at a fast speed. Wang Xian was sitting in his chair, reading the information in his hand while Lan Qingyue and the rest of the girls crowded together with curiosity. The anomaly of Taibai started 5 days ago. A sudden surge of spiritual energy in the air rushed to the mountain range like flowing water, causing a drastic change to places within a radius of less than 20 kilometers. With the sweeping of the spiritual energy, all the ordinary beasts grew larger by 3 to 4 meters, turning them into powerful creatures. Under the wash of the spiritual energy, martial artists greatly enhanced their cultivation. Within 5 days, dozens of inborn experts emerged. Where did this spiritual energy come from? No one knew about it. All the martial artists of the underworld gathered at this place. It streams down from mid-air. Hence, it must come from the 9 Cauldron worlds. I wonder what happened. But what makes it even weirder was that the spiritual energy did not dissipate in the air but streamed into the mountain. Wang Xian was full of curiosity as he read the data. With such an immense amount of spiritual energy entering the mountain, wouldn't that form a spiritual or mine? Asked Ajaya with slight surprise. Totally possible. I guess Taibai has become an immortal mountain now. Wang Xian's eyes were gleaming. This is a great chance. Let's return to China in a few days' time. It's time to go back too. The girls nodded. Back on Taibai, thick and dense spiritual energy poured down to the mountain range from mid-air just like a waterfall. Martial artists were sitting with their legs crossed at the foot of it, absorbing all the spiritual energy with excitement. An area not far from them was divided into two different worlds by a compelling force. On the other side of the world, 5 significant obscure figures were standing in the air, staring at the colossal cauldron above them. The cauldron was enormous, containing an incomparably insane level of energy. The energy was imposing and vast, just like the sea. At the same time, the spiritual energy from heaven and earth was flowing out of the 100-meter cauldron. Those long divided shall be united. Those long united shall be divided. Such is the way of the universe. The 9 cauldrons are returning to earth. What a surprise. The current real world was no longer our world, and the 9 cauldrons are returning to their homes. A great figure murmured with a voice that sounded like a large bell, sending his voice across the sky. The 9 cauldrons were refined by 9 dragon veins with their great might. Now that they are returning to where they belong, there will be 9 immortal areas emerging in this world. Our array in the world is weakened. Hence, those inborn and beyond will not have any danger to their lives if they get out now. At most, severe injuries. Send some disciples out and began their cultivation at this immortal mountain range. When our world descends into the real world, we will divide the mountains again. 2 more months before our Xia Cauldron world descends into the real world. At that time, how are we going to face it? The world has changed and divided with different kings ruling it. Since we are entering the real world, we can only influence the world but not change it. If we can't change it, we have to adapt to it. The most important thing is our resources. The figures took turns speaking. As the 5 pinnacles of the Xia Cauldron, their words sealed the fate of millions of people. Greetings to the Dragon King. Back in the Dragon Palace, all the Dragon Palace members knelt in the Dragon King Hall, greeting Wang Xian with respect. I called you guys here to make an announcement. Today there will be a sparring competition in the Dragon Palace. Apart from Prime Minister Turtle, I'll enhance the strength of the strongest person over here to the next level. Apart from that, the remaining Devil Division, Dragon Guard Division, Dragon Assassinating Division, and Anomalacrous race will be divided into smaller teams based on the strength of the experts. We'll be doing training, formation changing, and choosing the team captains. From now on, every head of division and the team captains will gain extra cultivation resources, said Wang Xian to them slowly. Establishing a set of complete rules was suggested by Prime Minister Turtle. He had devised detailed rules for every division's training and development. Amongst them, the selection of the leaders was the top priority. The rules established by Prime Minister Turtle was a combination of ancient and modern systems, forming a set of a complete system. This could better stimulate and enhance the strength of the Dragon Palace members. The main reason accounting for the army becoming powerful was discipline. According to Prime Minister Turtle's idea, not only must the members be restricted with military rules, but they must also cultivate themselves under a high degree of pressure. Dragon Field was not a decoration. They must make use of it to spar and test their battle techniques. In addition, there would be a promotion system based on strength. The stronger ones would get access to more resources. Competitions would be held regularly in Dragon Palace. That was only one part of it. After Prime Minister Turtle groomed a team of wise and intelligent civil officials, all the Dragon Palace members could learn from them. Yes, Dragon King. The group of Dragon Palace members answered in sync. At present, the members of the Dragon Palace might have had high intelligence. Still, they did not possess the mindsets of humans in society. Commands and orders were the only things they understood. This could be good and bad. But when their strength hit a certain level, they would think further. This train of thought was a good thing, as this represented the birth of a true civilization. Fall in at the Dragon Field. With a swift movement, Wang Xian arrived at the Dragon Field. Standing in front of the members, he said, "Among the leaders of level 12, I'll enhance the strongest one to the next level. If you think you're the strongest, step forward for the challenge." Roared Dragon King. "Let me do it." The first to step forward was Roving Heavens. He was 7 meters tall with a body of dark fur. Under the fur was layers of scales. His burly muscles were even bulging out. He was carrying a huge 7-meter metallic rod on his shoulder. "Who will challenge me, Roving Heavens?" Roving Heavens let out a loud bellow as he placed his rod down, staring at Roving Yuxia and 9 venomous snakes with burning fighting spirit in his eyes. Wang Xian looked at Roving Heavens with a smile on his face. Wang Xian did not consider the strength of Roving Heavens to be the strongest. However, his insane combat capability and desire were above all the other members. Me. Roving Yuxia, looking on impassively, pointed at roving heavens with the fork in his hand. We fight. Roar. The first competition in the Dragon Palace had officially begun. Violent devilish aura surged from roving heavens. The furious aura caused some of the weaker members to stagger back immediately. The devil monkey is violent. The more violent it gets, the more terrifying it becomes. Apart from roving sword, roving heavens should be ranked number 1 within the Dragon Palace. At this time, Prime Minister Turtle's voice surprised Wang Xian. Roving heavens is the strongest? Roving Yuxia, roving demon, and 9 venomous snakes should not be weaker than roving heavens, right? Asked Wang Xian with surprise. Dragon King, even I could not withstand the violent attacks from roving heavens when it comes to a life and death match. Dragon King, watch and you'll find out. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.